notice that white line, everybody.
But I do want to especially thank President Trump.
Who, baby, you are seeing live on your screen Joe Biden's regime being frog marched into the halls of Congress. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Benny Johnson. You are going to watch. You have chosen wisely to watch tonight's State of the Disunion, tonight's Liar Liar Pants on Fire Festival with Joe Biden in living color here with us. We will be bringing this live feed to you in real time. You will be able to watch with us. We will have live commentary with you, and along with Joe Biden, we will be showing memes. We will be showing Marjorie Taylor Greene trying to bring a giant white balloon, which you just saw in our cold open, into the halls of Congress. No confirmation yet as to whether she's gotten into Congress with it. We've called various members of Congress. Trust me, there's going to be shenanigans. There's going to be a lot of hoopla going down tonight, and I hope you are ready for a hot time in the Old Town tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And speaking of Old Town, it does look as though there is going to be a absolute on-time departure for Joe Biden here, unlike his transportation secretary there, Pete Buttigieg, who has no on-time departures for any airplane that he has ever managed to get off the ground. Airplanes crashing, trains derailing, the state of the nation is in total and complete calamity, but it will be fun to listen to Joe Biden lie about it and to suffer from sundown syndrome before he gets on stage. Sundown syndrome is, of course, the syndrome where Joe Biden, he's 89,000 years old, the sun goes down and Joe Biden gets sleepy. So sleepy, sleepy, sleepy Joe Biden. We do certainly have a compilation of old gaffes from Joe Biden's last State of the Union, but we're going to stick on this shot. We have a lot, ladies and gentlemen, for your viewing pleasure, including but not limited to Marjorie Taylor Greene with her giant white balloon. That was possibly the most viral moment yet. Here comes... What are we on? We're on NBC. We got CBS, CNN, C-SPAN, and PBS all pulled up for the State of the Union here, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, when Brandon goes and wobbles downstairs and, acts as though, tries very hard not to show the Depends that he is indeed wearing. Oh, there's the spy balloon. So, wait a second. In the build-up to the State of the Union, they shoved the spy balloon in there? Wow, savage, NBC. Who you got? Who you got, NBC? Good for you. Okay, all right. Okay, didn't count on it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna laugh. We're gonna laugh tonight. We're going to laugh at this thing. We are not going to use this opportunity as a time to doom or to blackpill you. We don't want you to be blackpilled. We want to be happy warriors and people who can laugh at this State of the Union and laugh at these people, including the fraudulent individuals on your screen right now, who are such incredible losers. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have quite a bit of... We have 2 super chats already, ladies and gentlemen. We just say thank you. James, Tiberius, Kirk, related to Charlie Kirk. God bless you, Benny, from Australia. Whoa! That's awesome, man. Fantastic. And Iowasa says Lion Biden. You're right. You're absolutely right. I wonder if he will address his daughter's... diary, says Extreme Overdrive. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not sure. Oh, there's Nancy! Nancy! What you don't see below the lower third there is the bottle of Smirnoff and the 3 olive martini. But that certainly is in our cover image. Oh, here we go. Is this Brandon's arrival? Again, sundown syndrome, ladies and gentlemen. I see we got Salties. So we got Salty Army in the chat. We got people from all over the place. I bet he'll mumble more than one sentence. I totally agree with you. Let's see here. Who do we got here? Benny, your hair is all over. Did you just wake up? No, actually, I've been working all day, and I went for a jog with my 8-month-old. So I put my 8-month-old in one of those jogging strollers, and to get out of the studio, I went running to get like a little workout in, and so my hair was I went running. I guess that's what I did. What did Joe Biden do to get to his hair? You ever seen photos of Joe Biden in 1973? That guy was bald as a bat's balls. A Wuhan bat. Whatever happened to Joe Biden's hair? How does Joe Biden have hair? It's all plastic, just like his teeth, just like his soul, ladies and gentlemen. We got the first Let's Go Brandon in the chat. What up? Okay. I think now, there he goes. Okay, all right, there we go. All right, let's get the audio up. Let's make that a little bigger. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We are watching the chat here. We got the chat. Let's go. FJB from Wilmington, Delaware. Hey, what up, my man? We got MAGA is here.
President making his way into the chamber is being greeted all smiles right now. We'll see what it looks like at the end. But President on time, and we normally about 10 minutes of what you're seeing right now, greetings before we expect him to take the podium and begin his remarks.
A lot of pressing of the flesh. Often in history, certain members of Congress save those seats, want to get that face time with the president. As Garrett mentioned, this is a different chamber he's facing. The first time he'll address divided government as president of the United States. Members of the cabinet are there, members of the Supreme Court.
Look at that bald spot, as big as the moon.
As the president makes his way to the podium, we want to turn to Peter
big
Alexander,
as the moon in
White House
Ohio.
Correspondent, who has been talking to officials about what we can expect from this State of the Union. Hi, Peter.
Savannah, good evening to you. We just heard from the president as he left the White House a matter of moments ago. He was asked by reporters, what is the State of the Union? He said it's in great shape and getting better. But fundamentally, that is his challenge tonight, to try to bridge the gap between what has been strong economic news, the lowest unemployment rate in more than 50 years, inflation still too high, but certainly easing right now, and the dissatisfaction with the direction of the country from most Americans right now.
Audio
like
all good, Royce.
The economy is not working for them. The White House believes that its policies, the president's accomplishments are popular, but that Americans don't even know exactly what they are. They hope he can communicate that directly to Americans tonight, with the takeaway being that Joe Biden has your back. He will say jobs are coming back and pride is coming back. Watch him use 2023 in the words of one White House official tonight as the year of implementation, to try to put all of those efforts into effect. I've been struck by reading the excerpts ahead of tonight's speech. This looks like the president's going to try to sort of lower the temperature tonight, effectively staying away from those attacks on MAGA Republicans, instead saying that there is no reason that we can't work together on some of the topics they hope to get done. Those bipartisan issues like opioid addiction and combating cancer. Of course, for this president, the stakes are very high right now, not just for his administration in this term, but for his presidential future. This, in many ways, is the unofficial kickoff to 2024, where, among other things, his job tonight will be to try to convince Democrats that he's prepared for another 4 years. So,
and it's not, of course, Peter, not just domestic issues, but tonight's State of the Union comes amid rising tensions with China over that spy balloon.
Oh, my.
Andrea Mitchell is NBC's chief chief foreign affairs correspondent. Andrea, some revisions to the president's speech, we understand, regarding China.
Indeed, I'm told the president is expected to talk about the importance of the strategic relationship with China.
I absolutely will, John.
Sovereignty, but he is not going to talk about China's spy balloon or defend himself against Republican criticism like today's from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, that the country learned on President Biden's watch. He said, the state of our union is apparently under Chinese surveillance from our own skies. The president will mention that Defense Secretary Austin was just in the Philippines to expand U.S. bases there as a deterrent to China. And the Pentagon says China's defense minister refused a call from Austin after the shootdown. As the president speaks to Congress, the Navy and Coast Guard are continuing tonight the round-the-clock search for debris in the waters off South Carolina. And for the first time, a Chinese balloon...
You just saw Mark Me Lee on screen there. Mark Me Lee, I think is the Mandarin pronunciation of his name. owned and operated by the Communist Chinese Party. Joe Biden grabbing his hand, shaking his hand. This is the guy that told him not to shoot down the spy balloon. Got it. This is the guy that also gave our war plans to Communist China. Let's see what Joe Biden does here. Okay. He's like, who are you, lady? What? Oh, nice to see you, young man. Did you win the Boy Scout medal? What's going on? Oh, there. Oh, man. Okay. There you got Jill wearing a very, very, very expensive bath curtain. Joe Biden handing his resignation in to Kevin McCarthy, hopefully. That's nice. All right, audio back up.
That he's going to have not many opportunities. You get 30 million people, even supposedly fewer than before. 30 million. Nowhere else you're going to get 30 million. So he ought to be starting to test out his reelection.
I have the high privilege and distinct honor to present to you the President of the United States.
Oh, look at Mattis. Oh my gosh. He even claps like a Communist Party member. This is how they clap in North Korea. Lobotomized seals.
But said he's running.
You would assume that how he's going to talk about what he did in those first 2 years, if it's all about implementation, well, that sounds like a real act.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, good to see you guys up there. Members of Congress.
Boo. I'll boo. Boo. I'll boo for you.
By the way, Chief
Boo.
Justice, I may need a court order. She gets to go to the game tomorrow, next week. I have to stay home.
He doesn't know when the Super Bowl is.
Members of the cabinet, leaders
he
of
doesn't
the
know
military,
when the
Chief
Super Bowl
Justice,
is.
Associate Justice, and retired Justice of the Supreme Court, and to you, my fellow Americans. You know, I start tonight by congratulating the 118th Congress and the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy.
Okay, Kevin McCarthy. Hey guys, you guys know my take. Kevin McCarthy's been based. What do you want from me? Kevin McCarthy's been based. I think that Kevin's done a good job so far.
I don't want to ruin your reputation, but I look forward to working with you. And I want to congratulate the new leader of the House Democrats, the first African-American minority leader in history, Hakeem Jeffries.
He got his name right. Damn. Got his name right. Thought he was going to mess that one up. Okay. Who claps like that? What are you clapping like?
I won in spite of the fact I campaigned for him. Congratulations to the longest serving leader in the history of the United States Senate, Mitch McConnell. Where are you, Mitch?
Don't clap. No! Don't clap. Boo! I boo Mitch McConnell. Boo!
Chuck Schumer, another term as Senate Minority Leader. I think you.
It's his first stumble.
Oh, this time you have a slightly bigger majority, Mr. Leader. You're the majority leader. About that much bigger? Yeah. Well, I tell you what. I want to give special recognition to someone who I think is going to be considered the greatest speaker in the history of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, good. Oh, she's wearing a Ukraine pin. Perfect. She should wear sponsors on her jacket. She should wear like it should be like NASCAR for all the stocks that Paul buys.
Folks, the story of America is a story of progress.
He's not getting
and
arrested.
Resilience, of always moving forward, of never ever giving up.
Here we go.
It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Look, folks, that's what we're doing again. 2 years ago, the economy was reeling. I stand here tonight after we've created, with the help of many people in this room, 12 million new jobs. More jobs created in 2 years than any president's created in 4 years because of you all, because of the American people. years ago, COVID had shut down. Our businesses were closed. Our schools were robbed of so much. And today, COVID no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threats in the Civil War. And today, though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken.
Hey, jackass, you wanted vaccine mandates. COVID no longer controls our lives. You tried to make COVID control like how people can make bread for their families.
We're writing the next chapter.
You cretinous old bee.
Of progress and resilience. When world leaders ask me to define America, and they do, believe it or not, I can define it in one word, and I mean this: possibilities. We don't think anything is beyond our capacity. Everything is a possibility. You know, we're often told that Democrats and Republicans can't work together. But over the past 2 years, we've proved the cynics and naysayers wrong. Yes, we disagreed plenty. And yes, there were times when Democrats went alone. But time and again, Democrats and Republicans came together to defend a stronger and safer Europe. It came together to pass once in a generation infrastructure law, building bridges connecting our nation and our people. We came together to pass the most significant law ever, helping victims exposed to toxic burn pits. And in fact,
not going to answer that one, Z. Don't tempt me, Z.
It's important. And in fact, I signed over 300 bipartisan pieces of legislation since becoming president, from reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act,
Mitch
to the
McConnell,
Electoral Count Reform Act, the Respect for Marriage Act that protects the right to marry the person you love. And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well. I think
we work together because we're all owned by China. This is the world's largest gathering of Chinese prostitutes.
You all are as formed as I am, but I think the people sent us a clear message. Fighting for the sake of fighting, power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. That's always been my vision of our country, and I know it's many of yours. To restore the soul of this nation, to rebuild the backbone of America, America's middle class, and to unite the country. We've been sent here to finish the job, in my view. For decades, the middle class has been hollowed out in more than, and not one administration, but for a long time. Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs move overseas.
Good-paying manufacturing.
Factories closed down.
Factories.
Once thriving cities and towns that many of you represent became shadows of what they used to be. And along the way, something else we lost: pride, our sense of self-worth. I ran for president to fundamentally change things, to make sure our economy works for everyone, so we can all feel that pride in what we do. To build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Because when the middle class does well, the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well.
Guy says he's going to restore the soul of America. This guy, the guy who's covering for Hunter Biden right now. Oh, my. Bernie, what are you doing?
I know a lot of you always kid me for always quoting my dad, but my dad used to say,
masks
Joey,
are for ugly people.
About a lot more than a paycheck. He really would say this. It's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it.
It's about the money
folks,
we get from China.
So let's look at the results.
We're
not finished yet by any stretch of the imagination, but unemployment rate is at 3.4%, a 50-year low. Near record unemployment.
That data point is a
Near record
lie.
Unemployment for Black and Hispanic workers. We've already created, your help, 800,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs, the fastest growth in 40 years. And
Once again,
where is it written
also,
that America
creepy old
can't
liar.
lead the world in manufacturing? And I don't know where that's written.
Well,
For
you
too
can say
many
manufacturing,
decades, we
right?
imported projects and exported jobs.
Manufacturing?
Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs.
Manufacturing.
Folks,
You're exporting American jobs to the Chinese.
Inflation is
The only job you haven't exported is Hunter.
The pandemic disrupted our supply chains, and Putin's unfair and brutal war in Ukraine disrupted energy supplies as well as food supplies, blocking all that grain in Ukraine. But we're better positioned than any country on earth right now. But we have more to do. But here at home, inflation is coming down. Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down, not fast enough, but coming down. Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months.
Did you just say that gas prices are down?
Well, take-home pay has gone up. Additionally, over the last 2 years,
you just said the gas prices are down.
10 million Americans applied to start new
You
businesses.
son of a barnyard.
By the way, every time
You lit liquor.
someone starts a small business is an act of hope. And Madam Vice President, I want to thank you for leading that effort to ensure that small businesses have access to capital and the historic laws we enacted that are going to just come into being.
You know who don't have access to the capital?
Last year,
The American people. Could you put
I
a fence
shared
around
with
it?
you a story
You old
of
jackal.
American genius and possibilities. Semiconductors, small computer chips the size of a fingerprint that power everything.
J.D.
From cell
Vance.
phones, automobiles, and so much more. These chips were invented in America. Let's
love
get
JD.
that straight. They were invented in America. We used to make
You're right.
40% of the world's chips. In the last several decades, we lost our edge. We're down to only producing 10%.
Why can't we
all
make
saw
a
what
potato
happened
chip?
during the pandemic.
We
when
can't
chip
make a
factories
potato
shut
chip
down
anymore.
Overseas. Today's automobiles need 3,000 chips, each of those automobiles.
That's a
But
lot of
American
Doritos.
automobiles couldn't make enough cars because there weren't enough chips. Car prices went up. People got laid off. So did everything from refrigerators to cell phones. We can never let that happen again. That's why we came together to pass the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act.
We were able to fund 5 new Lay's potato factories. Tom Cotton's like, There's empty seats there, too.
I
There
know
are
I've been
senators who aren't
criticized
there.
for saying this, but I'm not changing my view. We're going to make sure the supply chain for America begins in America. The supply chain begins in America.
Supply of hookers and blow for Hunter. That's the only supply chain that Joe Biden has protected.
We've already created
Who's that?
800,000 new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. And I mean all across the country, throughout not just the coast, but through the middle of the country as well. That's going to come from companies that have announced more than $300 billion in investment in American manufacturing over the next few years. Outside of Columbus, Ohio, Intel is building semiconductor factories on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams. It's going to create 10,000 jobs, that one investment, 7,000 construction jobs, 3,000 jobs in those factories once they're finished.
And we let the Chinese balloon spy on all of it.
Jobs paying an average of $130,000 a year, and many do not require a college degree.
$130,000 a year. That's like 1 month of Bursama payments for Hunter. Chinese spy balloon. Oh, Fang Fang! Fang Fang! She flew you a balloon! Eric, she flew your balloon!
It's just getting started.
Just in time for Valentine's Day.
Think about the new homes, the small businesses, the medium-sized businesses. So much more that's going to be needed to support those 3,000.
Look at Kevin McCarthy's expression. Look at that.
And the
Look at Kevin
factories that are
McCarthy.
going to be built.
Good for him.
Talk to mayors and governors, Democrats and Republicans.
Way to go.
And they'll tell you
Look at Kevin.
what this means for their communities. We're
Base
seeing
Kevin.
these field of dreams transform to the heartland. But to maintain the strongest economy in the world, we need the best infrastructure in the world. And folks, as you all know, we used to be
Man,
number
more
one in the
Ukraine
world
pins
in
than there are
infrastructure.
American flags.
We've sunk to 13th in the world. The United States of America, 13th in the world in infrastructure, modern infrastructure.
He's yelling.
But now we're coming back because we came together and passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, the largest investment in infrastructure since President Eisenhower's interstate highway system.
You can tell he's lying because of the amount of yelling. When he starts yelling, that means two things. He's lying and he has poopy pants.
Already we've funded over 20,000 projects, including major airports from Boston to Atlanta to Portland. Projects that are going to put thousands of people to work rebuilding our highways, our bridges, our railroads, our tunnels, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet, all across America. Urban, rural, tribal. And folks, we're just getting started. We're just getting started. And I mean
Kevin McCarthy.
Sincerely.
Oh,
I want to
Maxie.
thank my Republican friends who voted for the law, and my Republican friends who voted against it as well. But I still get asked to fund the projects in those districts as well. But don't worry, I promised I'd be a president for all Americans. We'll fund these projects, and I'll see you at the groundbreaking.
See you at the groundbreaking.
This law.
What?
This law will further unite all of America. Projects
Who
like
does it
Great
like
Bend
that?
Bridge in Kentucky over the
What are you
Ohio
wearing?
River.
This is not the
Built
Grammys.
60 years ago.
Although this is
Badly
Satan
needed
worshipers
because one of
all
the
in
nation's
one
most
room.
congested freight routes carrying $2 billion worth of freight every single day across the Ohio River. And folks, we've been talking about fixing it for decades, but we're really finally going to get it done. I went there last month with Democrats and Republicans and from both states to deliver a commitment of $1.6 billion for this project. And while I was there, I met a young woman named Sarah, who's here tonight. I don't know where Sarah is. Is she up in the box? I don't know. Sarah, how are you? Well, Sarah, for 30 years.
That's Sarah. Got it.
For 30 years, I learned, she told me she'd been a proud member of the Iron Workers Local 44, known as the Cowboys in the Sky.
Why are you yelling at her? Unions voted for Trump, dude. Unions voted Trump. Union members vote Trump.
Said she can't wait to be 10 stories above the Ohio River building that new bridge. God bless her. That's pride. And that's what we're also building. We're building back pride. Look, we're also replacing poisonous lead pipes that go into 10 million homes in America.
Are you going to wear the bedazzled jacket while you're building the bridge?
Centers. So every child in America can drink the water instead of having permanent damage to their brain. Look, we're making sure.
What the French toast?
That every community in America has access to affordable high-speed internet. No parent should have to drive by McDonald's parking lot to help them do their homework online with their kids, which many thousands are doing across the country. And when we do these projects,
I love this line.
And again, I get criticized for this, but I make no excuses for it. We're going to buy American. We're going to buy America.
What?
Folks,
okay. Who goes to McDonald's to use the? Wait a second. Who goes to McDonald's to use the Wi-Fi? Somebody told Joe Biden this once.
It's totally consistent with international trade rules. Buy America has been the law since 1933, but for too long, past administrations, Democrat and Republican, have fought to get around it. Not anymore. Tonight, I'm announcing new standards that require all construction materials used in federal infrastructure projects to be made in America.
Oh, wow.
Made in America.
Joe Biden, that's the first deal he's ever done in America. He's done deals in Russia and Ukraine, Tajikistan. He's done deals in China.
Fiber optic cable. And on my watch, American roads, bridges, and American highways are going to be made with American products as well. Folks, my economic plan is about investing in places and people that have been forgotten.
I'm the Emperor from Star Wars.
So many of you listen to me tonight.
Listen to me, or I got lightning bolts for you.
So many of you felt like you've just simply been forgotten.
Made in America.
Over the past 4 decades, too many people have been left behind and treated like they're invisible. Maybe that's you watching from home. Remember the jobs that went away. You remember them, don't you? The folks at home remember them. You wonder whether the path even exists anymore for your children to get ahead without having to move away. Well, that's why I get that. That's why we're building an economy where no one's left behind. Jobs are coming back. Pride is coming back because choices we made in the last several years.
You've created 0 jobs.
This is, in my view, a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America, make a real difference in your lives at home. For example, too many of you.
For example, sponsored by
laying in bed
Pfizer.
at night like my dad
Have
did,
you seen the Pfizer tag
staring
on my
at the
back?
ceiling, wondering what in God names happens if your spouse gets cancer or your child gets deadly ill or something happens to you. What are you going to get money to pay for those medical bills? You're going to have to sell the house or try to get a second mortgage on it. I get it. I get it. With the Inflation Reduction Act that I signed into law, we're taking on powerful interests to bring healthcare costs down so you can sleep better at night with more security. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs than any nation in the world. Let me say it again. We pay more for prescription drugs than any major nation on earth.
Here we go. Palpatine hands again. We got Palpatine
1 in
hands.
10 Americans has diabetes.
Is Kamala drunk?
Many of you in this
What is she
chamber
doing?
do.
Why is she scowling? Is she
audience.
drunk?
But every day, millions need insulin to control their diabetes so they can literally stay alive.
Today's Josh Hawley.
Insulin's been around for over 100 years. The guy who invented it didn't even patent it because he wanted to
What's
be
in Kamala's
available for
glass?
everyone.
It's vodka.
It cost the drug
I'm
companies
telling you, she got a hit
roughly
from Pelosi.
$10 a vial to
Telling
make
you.
that insulin. Packaging and all, you may get up to $13. But Big Pharma has been unfairly charging people hundreds of dollars, $400
Big
to $500
Pharma?
a month, making record profits.
Dude.
Not anymore.
Dude, you are literally sponsored by Pfizer. You are literally the world's greatest pharmaceutical salesman. You created a vaccine mandate. You old jackwagon. What the French, Toast?
So many things
Dude,
that we did.
you have a
are
Pfizer
only
tramp
now
stamp
coming to fruition.
on your ass.
We said we were doing this, and we said we passed the law to
wrinkly,
do it.
dandruffy
But people didn't
butt.
know because the law didn't take effect until January 1 of this year.
You said you're going to fight
We
big...
capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. on
Really?
Medicare.
Really? Did you do a mandate for that too? Dude,
People are just finding out.
the Supreme Court had to strike
sure
down
you
your
said
vaccine
call
mandate.
Biden.
And you said you're going to fight Big Pharma?
Look, there are millions of other Americans
You are a
who
disease.
are not on Medicare, including 200,000 young people with type
Speaking
1
of-
diabetes.
Speaking of
that
a,
need this insulin
it
to
looks
stay
like a
alive.
duck. Bernie
Let's
Sanders with a
finish
duck
the
impression.
job this time. Let's cap the cost of
The
insulin
old
for everybody
duck.
at $35.
The old quack. We call him an old quack. Dad joke. Look at that. John Tester. Look at this guy.
Folks,
Jill Biden looking like a tube of toothpaste.
the big pharma's still going
Jill
to do
Biden
very
looks like
well,
New
I promise
Crest.
you all. I promise you, they're going to do very well.
Kamala Harris looks like Sam
This
Smith
also-
dancing
this
as
law
Satan.
also caps and won't even go into effect until 2025.
When is Kamala Harris going to dance?
Costs, out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors on Medicare at a maximum of $2,000 a year. You don't have to pay more than $2,000 a year, no matter how much your drug costs are. Because you know why? You all know it. Many of you, like many in my family, have cancer. You know the drugs can range from $10,000, $11,000, $14,000, $15,000 for the cancer drugs. If drug prices rise faster than inflation, drug companies are going to have to pay Medicare back the difference. We're finally giving Medicare the power to negotiate drug prices. Bringing down prescription drug costs doesn't just save seniors money. It cuts the federal deficit by billions of dollars.
Dude, this guy has a brain
Hundreds
injury.
of billions of dollars. Because these
Look at
prescription
that.
drugs
Look at that. That lady's name's Rosa DeLauro, Congresswoman
by
from
Medicare
Connecticut.
to keep their commitment to the seniors.
She looks like a
Well,
space
guess what?
alien.
Instead of paying $400 or $500 a month, you're paying $15. That's a lot of savings for the federal government. And by the way, why wouldn't we want that? Now, some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm going to exaggerate. But threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach, that's okay. That's fair. As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year.
You didn't have a football coach because you were born a lizard.
No mistake.
You are a lizard person.
If you try
You
anything
came from
to
the
raise
lizard
cost
planet.
of presenting
That's why
drugs,
Kamala's
I
neck
will
looks like
veto
that.
it.
Look at Ted Cruz, the lion.
I'm pleased to say the more Americans help for the health
How short is Jerry Nadler?
in history.
Did you know the Penguin was elected to
people
Congress?
are enrolled in the Affordable Care Act. And thanks to the law I signed last year, millions are saving $800 a year on their premiums. And by the way, that law was written and the benefit expires in 2025. So my plea to some of you, at least in this audience, let's finish the job and make these savings permanent. Expand coverage of Medicaid.
So no one has to go get their Medicaid at McDonald's. No parent should have to go get a vaccine at McDonald's for their Medicaid.
The Inflation Reduction Act is also
Wireless.
the most significant investment ever in climate change. Ever.
Here we go. You want your hot air, baby.
Utility bills,
Here we go.
creating American jobs. leading
Again,
the world
Kamala
with clean
Harris is
energy
dressed like
future.
Sam Smith
Devastating aftermath
at the
of record
Grammys.
floods, droughts, storms, and wildfires.
Sam Smith
From
took
Arizona
his
to Mexico
Satan
all
outfit
the way up to the Canadian
and
border.
sent it to Kamala.
More timber has been burned, as I've observed from helicopters, than the entire state of Missouri. And we don't have global warming? Not a problem. In addition to emergency recovery, from Puerto Rico to Florida to Idaho, we're rebuilding for the long term. New electric grids that are able to weather major storms and not prevent those forest fires. Roads and water systems will withstand the next big flood. Clean energy to cut pollution and create jobs in communities often left behind. We're going to build 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations installed across the country by tens of thousands of IBW workers.
Hey, what does the electric grid come from?
$1,000 a year with tax credits.
Where do you get electricity, Joe?
Electric vehicles and
Where's electricity come from?
Appliances, energy efficient appliances.
In America, it comes from burning coal and natural gas.
To be responsible stewards
Electric
of our
cars
land.
are coal-powered cars.
Let's face reality.
The old jackwagon.
The climate crisis doesn't care if you're in a red or blue state. It's an
Climate
existential
crisis.
threat. We have an obligation, not to ourselves, but to our children and grandchildren to confront it. I'm proud of how America at last is stepping up to the challenge.
Burn more
We're still
coal.
going to need oil and gas for a while. But guess what? No, we do.
We're still going to need oil and gas for a
There's
while.
so much more to do.
Where does the electricity come from
gotta finish
for the
the
electric
job.
cars?
We pay for these investments in our future by finally making the wealthiest and biggest corporations begin to pay their fair share.
Oh, here comes the creepy.
Just begin.
Oh, there's Ilhan Omar. Oh, brother lover.
Look, I'm a capitalist.
Lauren Boebert.
I'm a capitalist, but pay your fair share.
Boebert and Gates are sitting together.
I think a lot of you at home agree
You're not
with
a
me and many
capitalist.
people that you know.
You, sir, are
The
a
tax
communist.
system is not fair. It is not fair.
Not fair. Sponsored by Pfizer. It's not fair. Joe Biden's speech, sponsored by
idea
Pfizer.
That in 2020, 55 of the largest corporations in America, the Fortune 500, made
Dunkin'
$40 billion in profits and
Not
paid
sponsored.
zero in federal taxes? Zero? Folks, it's simply not fair.
What is she? She's
But
wearing
now,
a
because of
crayon.
the law I signed, billion-dollar companies have to pay a minimum of 15%.
She's wearing a crayon, huh?
God love them.
Oh, there she goes. She's wearing a crayon. What's she gonna do?
That's less than a nurse.
She's gonna put it in her hair and pretend it's a feather? Claim to be an Indian again?
Going
to use it
clear.
to color her
I said at the very
face?
beginning.
Racial.
Under my plans, as long as I'm president, nobody
racial
earning
stolen
less
valor.
than $400,000 will pay an additional penny in taxes. Nobody, not one penny. But let's finish the job. There's more to do.
Racial hoaxer.
We have to reward work,
She said
not
it.
just wealth.
I'm an Indian because I have high cheekbones.
Pass my proposal.
She's on camera
for the
saying
billionaire minimum tax.
Elizabeth Warren.
You know, there's 1,000 billionaires
Racial
in America.
fraud.
It's up from about 600 in the beginning of the term. But no billionaire should be paying a lower tax rate than a school teacher or firefighter. I mean it. Think about it.
Remember that. I went to a black church sponsored by Pfizer.
I mean,
Jill Biden. Ooh. Oh, man.
no, you aren't enthusiastic about that, but think about it. Think about it.
Think about
Have you
it.
noticed Big Oil just reported its profits, record profits? Last year they made $200 billion in the midst of a global energy crisis. I think it's outrageous.
Turtle!
Why?
Chinese
They
turtle!
invested too little of that profit to increase domestic production. And when I talk to a couple of them, they say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells, all the oil refineries anyway, so why should we invest in them? I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade.
Yeah.
And that's going to exceed and beyond that.
I mean, you've seen how much lube Hunter uses? We need oil.
Production.
We need petroleum products.
If they had, in fact, invested in the production to keep gas prices down, instead, they used the record profits to buy back their own stock, rewarding the CEOs and shareholders. Corporations ought to do the right thing. That's why I propose we quadruple the tax on corporate stock buybacks and encourage long-term investments. They'll still make considerable profit.
Brought to you by Pfizer. Oh, look, it's ramen noodle hair lady.
Let's finish the job and close the loopholes that allow very wealthy to avoid paying their taxes. Instead of cutting the number of audits for wealthy taxpayers, I just signed a law to reduce the deficit by $114 billion by cracking down on wealthy tax cheats. That's being fiscally responsible.
Hey, Joe, how many houses do you own? How many beach houses you got, pal?
My administration.
You're gonna act like you're some champion for the middle class? How many beach houses you got?
$7 trillion. The largest deficit reduction in American history. Under the previous administration, the American deficit went up 4 years in a row. Because those record deficits, no president added more to the national debt in any 4 years than my predecessor.
Kevin McCarthy's a meme.
Nearly 25% of the entire
there he
national
is.
debt
Kevin
that took
McCarthy's
over 200
whispering
years
something.
to accumulate was
What's he
added
saying?
by just one administration alone, the last one.
What's he saying? I got my bingo card. Uh-oh.
Check it out.
Oh.
How did Congress respond to that debt? They did the right thing. They lifted the debt ceiling 3 times without preconditions or crisis. They paid American bills to prevent an economic disaster in the country.
Angry Brandon.
I'm asking the Congress to follow suit.
Dark
Let's
Brandon.
commit here tonight to the full faith and credit of the United States of America will never, ever be questioned. So some of my Republican friends want to take the economy hostage. I get it. Unless I agree to their economic plans.
Mitch McConnell.
All of you at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair
Lauren,
share,
we love you.
Some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
Boo.
Anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy.
Oh, wow. Marjorie. What is Marjorie wearing?
Doesn't vote.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, representing Hoff.
I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals.
Yelled at.
I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you.
Dude, this is amazing. Joe Biden's getting fact-checked in real time.
The idea is that we're not going to be
fact-checked in real time. Get me that.
Moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond.
Oh, man.
Folks,
Look at Mike Lee. Mike Lee's like, what? What? So Joe Biden, what happened there is Joe Biden said that Republicans want to get rid of Medicaid.
Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be stopped. All right.
And then they started yelling at him. They're like, what do you mean? You're like lying.
Social Security and Medicare are a lifeline for millions of seniors. Americans have to pay into them from the very first paycheck they started. So tonight, let's all agree, and we apparently are, let's stand up for seniors.
Well, Joe Biden.
Stand up and show them. We will not cut Social Security. We will not cut Medicare. Those benefits belong to the American people. They earned it. And if anyone tries to cut Social Security, which apparently no one's going to do, and if anyone tries to cut Medicare, I'll stop them. I'll veto it. And look, I'm not going to allow them to be taken away. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. But apparently it's not going to be a problem.
Well, it's insolvent.
Next month, when I offer my fiscal plan,
Kamala
I
Harris
ask my
is the
Republican
Joker.
friends to lay down their plan as well. I really mean it. Let's sit down together and discuss our mutual plans together.
So getting rid of entitlement programs is actually an important thing. It has to happen. They are unattainable. Social Security is bankrupt. No one's going to get Social Security. By the way, no one can even survive on Social Security anymore anyway.
Cut the deficit by another $2 trillion. And it won't cut a single bit of Medicare or Social Security. In fact, we're going to extend the Medicare Trust Fund at least 2 decades, because that's going to be the next argument. How do we keep it solvent, right? Well, we'll not raise tax on anyone making under 400 grand, but we'll pay for it the way we talked about tonight, by making sure that the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share. Look. Here's the deal.
Yes, good. You know, this guy just proposed a rule to tax waitresses more.
They're taking advantage of you, the American consumer. Here's my message to all of you out there.
Tax waitresses tips.
We're already preventing Americans from receiving surprise medical bills, stopping $1 billion surprise bills per month so far. We're protecting seniors' life savings by cracking down on nursing homes that commit fraud, endanger patient safety, prescribe drugs that are not needed. Millions of Americans can now save thousands of dollars because they can finally get a hearing aid over the counter without a prescription. Look,
I don't know anything about hearing aids. I am a lizard. We hear through our mouths.
Capitalism.
That's okay.
It's extortion. It's exploitation. Last year, I cracked
exploitation
down
is you showering with Ashley.
On foreign shipping companies that were making you pay higher prices for every good coming into the country. I signed a bipartisan bill that cut shipping costs by 90%, helping American farmers, businessmen, and consumers. Let's finish the job. Pass the bipartisan legislation to strengthen antitrust enforcement and prevent big online platforms from giving their own products an unfair advantage.
Again, Kamala Harris stole the Satan outfit from the Grammys.
My administration is also taking
Put on the top hat with
fees.
the horns.
Those hidden surcharges too many companies use to make you pay more. For example, we're making airlines show you the full ticket price up front, refund your money if your flight is canceled or delayed. We reduced exorbitant bank overdrafts by saving consumers more than $1 billion a year. We're cutting credit card late fees by 75% from $30 to $8.
It's time to yell.
Look,
it's time to yell. And we made your tickets transparent for airlines so that your planes can crash midair.
Homes like the one I grew up in, like many of you did.
Diversity.
They add up to hundreds of dollars a month. They make it harder for you to pay your bills or afford that family trip. I know how unfair it feels when a company overcharges you and gets away with it. Not anymore.
Like your son did?
We've written a bill to stop it all. It's called the Junk Fee Prevention Act. We're going to ban surprise resort fees that hotels charge on your bill. Those fees can cost you up to $90 a night at hotels that aren't even resorts. The idea.
What about the bills for Hunter
cable,
Biden
internet,
that you
and cell
paid
phone companies
at the Beverly
can
Hilton?
charge you $200 or more
We have
if you
the
decide to
receipts,
switch to
Joe.
another provider. Give me a break.
Commingling funds, Joe.
We can stop service fees
You paid for
on
Hunter's
tickets
hookers.
to concerts and sporting events
We
and
know
make companies
you
disclose
did.
all the fees up front. And we'll prohibit airlines from charging $50 round trip for family just to be able to sit together. Baggage fees are bad enough. Airlines can't treat your child like a piece of baggage. Americans are tired of being. They're tired of being.
Dude, you hired a guy who stole women's baggage in the airport. Your non-binary nuclear waste disposal guy stole women's baggage.
For too long, workers have been
Sam
getting
Brinton.
stiffed, but not anymore. We're beginning to restore the dignity of work. For
Dude!
example, I should have known this, but I didn't until 2 years ago. 30 million workers have to sign non-compete agreements with the jobs they take. 30 million. So a cashier at a
Hired a
burger
guy.
place can't walk across town and take the same job at another burger place and make a few bucks more. It just changed. But they just changed it because we exposed it. That was part of the deal, guys. Look it
Getting
up.
yelled at again.
But not anymore.
Getting yelled at again.
We're
Good.
banning those agreements so companies have to compete for workers and pay them what they're worth.
Yell more. Republicans, yell more.
And I must tell you,
Oh, my. Oh, the squad.
I'm
There
bound
we
to get a
go.
response from my friends on my left but the right. I'm so sick and tired of companies breaking the law by preventing workers from organizing. Pass the PRO Act. Because business have a right. Workers have a right to form a union.
Oh,
Let's
man.
guarantee all workers have a living wage. Let's make sure working parents can afford to raise a family with sick days, paid family medical leave, affordable child care. That's going to enable millions of more people to go and stay at work. And let's restore the full child tax credit, which gave tens of millions of parents some breathing room and cut child poverty in half to the lowest level in history. And by the way, when we do all these things, we increase productivity, we increase economic growth. So let's finish the job and get more families access to affordable, quality housing. Let's get seniors who want to stay in their homes the care they need to do so. Let's give more breathing room to millions of family caregivers looking after their loved ones. Pass my plan so we get seniors and people with disabilities the home care and services they need. And support the workers who are doing God's work. These plans are fully paid for and we can afford to do them. Restoring the dignity of work means making education an affordable ticket to the middle class. You know, when we made public education, 12 years of it universal in the last century, we made the best educated, best paid, we became the best educated, best paid nation in the world. But the rest of the world's caught up. It's caught up. Jill, my wife, who teaches full time, has an expression. I hope I get it right, kid. Any nation that out-educates us is going to outcompete us.
We know you're into kids.
Any nation that out-educates is going to outcompete us. Folks, we all know 12 years of education is
Joe
not
Biden.
enough to win the economic competition of 21st century.
Joe Biden looking like a tube of Crest
We want to have the
toothpaste.
best educated workforce. Let's finish the job by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. Studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school and go on to earn a 2 or 4 year degree, no matter their background they came from. Let's give public school teachers a raise.
I still cannot believe that he said that he doesn't want to treat children like baggage. And he was for forced vaccine mandates, he was for masking children,
increasing Pell Grants,
and he hired a guy who
and
stole
working in
baggage
middle-class families.
at the airport.
Let's finish the job and connect students to career opportunities starting in high school.
Oh, he's also for abortion.
Provide access to 2 years of community
Permanent
college.
abortion, forever.
The best career training in America, in addition to being a pathway to a 4-year degree.
Post-birth abortion.
Let's offer every American a path to a good career, whether they go to college or not.
How about you stop treating children like baggage, Joe?
Folks,
Stop
in the
showering
midst of
with
the
them.
COVID crisis, when schools were closed and we were shutting down everything.
You shut down
Let's
everything.
recognize how far we came in the fight against the pandemic itself. While the virus is not gone, thanks to the resilience of the American people and the ingenuity of medicine, we've broken the COVID grip on us. COVID deaths are down by 90%. We've saved millions of lives and opened up our country. We opened our country back up, and soon we'll end the public health emergency. But that's called a public health emergency. But we'll remember the toll and pain that's never going to go away. More than 1 million Americans lost their lives to COVID. 1 million.
Because of
Families
you.
grieving.
Because of
Children
you.
orphaned. Empty chairs at the dining room table constantly reminding you that she used to sit there. Remembering them, we remain vigilant. We still need to monitor dozens of variants and support new vaccines and treatments. So Congress needs to fund these efforts and keep America safe. And as we emerge from this crisis stronger, we're also got to double down on prosecuting criminals who stole relief money meant to keep workers and small businesses afloat.
Dirtiest attorney general ever. Okay, so wait a second. Joe Biden is sitting there talking about the pain of COVID, and he and his party, one, funded Dr. Fauci's research to do gain-of-function research in the Wuhan laboratory in China.
Came to office, you
And then
remember,
two, prolonged COVID for
during
like
that campaign, the big
4
issue
extra
about
years.
inspector generals who would protect taxpayers' dollars who were sidelined. They were fired. Many people said we don't need them. And fraud became rampant. Last year, I told you the watchdogs are back.
Fraud was rampant.
Since then,
What about your own
we've covered
family,
billions
Joe?
of taxpayers' dollars. Now let's triple the anti-fraud strike force going after these criminals, double the statute of limitations on these crimes, and crack down on identity fraud by criminal syndicates stealing billions of dollars from the American people.
Your own kid got billions of dollars from the communist Chinese.
Every dollar we put into fighting fraud, the taxpayers
From
get
Ukraine.
10 times as much. It matters.
From biolaboratories, from Russian oligarchs.
COVID
Your
left its
own
scars.
family. You talk about
Like the
fraud.
spike in violent crime in 2020.
Go fraud
First
yourself.
year of the pandemic. We have an obligation to make sure all people are safe. Public safety depends on public trust, as all of us know. But too often that trust is violated. Joining us tonight are the parents of Tyree Nichols. Welcome. I had to bury Tyree last week. As many of you personally know, there's no words to describe the heartache or grief of losing a child. But imagine if you lost that child at the hands of the law. Imagine having to worry whether your son or daughter came home from walking down the street, playing in the park, or just driving a car. Most of us in here have never had to have the talk that brown and black parents have had to have with their children. Bo, Hunter, Ashley, my children. I never had to have the talk with them.
What the hell are you?
I never had
What?
to tell them if a police officer pulls you over, turn your interior lights on right away.
Dude, you
Don't reach for your
old
license.
ass racist.
Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Imagine having to worry like that every single time.
My parents
You
literally
keep got
told
in
me
the
to do
car.
that.
Here's what
Wait.
Tyree's mother shared with me when I spoke to her.
You're-
When I asked her how she
You're saying the
finds
police have never
courage
killed a
to
white
carry on
person.
and
Is that
speak
what you're
out.
saying? My God. Oh, it is
The faith of God,
nauseating.
she said her son was, quote, a beautiful soul, and something good will come of this. Imagine how much courage and character that takes. It's up to us, to all of us. We all want the same thing. Neighborhoods free of violence. Law enforcement who earns the community's trust. Just as every cop, when they pin on that badge in the morning, has a right to be able to go home at night, So does everybody else out there. Our children.
Dude, you were for defund the police. You're in favor of defund the police.
Equal protection.
Look at this guy.
Under the law is a covenant we have
Al
with each
Green,
other in America.
hacking, coughing. What a disgusting racial attack. What a disgusting racial attack.
Line every single night and day. And we know we ask them in many cases to do too much, to be counselors, social workers, psychologists, responding to drug overdoses, mental health crises, and so much more. In one sense, we ask much too much of them.
This just pisses me off.
I know most
so
cops
much.
and their families are good, decent, honorable people, the vast majority. But they risk.
You ran against police officers. You knelt to BLM. You literally got down on your old, diseased knees and knelt to BLM.
And they risk their lives.
You were in favor of defunding the police.
Shield on. But what happened to Tyree in Memphis happens too often. We have to do better. Give law enforcement the real training they need. Hold them to higher standards. Help them succeed in keeping us safe. We also need more first responders and professionals to address the growing mental health, substance abuse challenges. More resources to reduce violent crime and gun crime. More community intervention programs.
Community intervention?
More investment in housing, education, and job training.
Memphis, where Tyree Nichols died, is run by Democrats, Democrat police chief, Democrat city council,
in the first place.
Democrat DA. All 5 officers
police departments violate the public
charged
trust.
here were black.
They must be held accountable.
Oh, what? Oh, why didn't you mention their unbelievable? What a cretinous, craven, despicable man.
Of the families of victims, civil rights groups, and law enforcement, I signed an executive order for all federal officers, banning chokeholds, restricting no-knock warrants, and other key elements of the George Floyd Act. Let's commit ourselves to make the words of Tyler's mom true. Something good must come from this. Something good. And all of us. All of us.
What Joe Biden is failing to mention, as he coughs there into his COVID hand, is that the entire city of Memphis has been run by Democrats for generations.
In this chamber, we need
multiple
to
of these
rise to this
officers
moment. We can't turn away.
were hired
Let's
through
do
the
what we
lowering of
know in our
standards
hearts.
inside of the police department
need to do.
for diversity programs.
Let's come together to finish the job on police reform. Do something. Do something. That was the plea of parents who lost their children in Uvalde. I met
What
with
a
every one of them.
nauseating.
Do something about gun violence. Thank God. Thank God we
nauseating. To
did.
turn that into a racial, to turn that
Passing
into
the
some
most
type of
sweeping
like,
gun safety law in 3 decades.
my kids don't have to worry about this.
That includes things like
What is
that the majority of
disgusting,
responsible
divisive
gun
man.
owners already support. Enhanced background checks for 18 to 21 years old. Red flag laws, keeping guns out of the hands of people who are a danger to themselves and others. But we know our work is not done. Join us tonight is Brandon Say, a 26-year-old hero. Brandon put his college dreams on hold to be at his mom's side. His mom's side when she was dying from cancer. And Brandon,
Okay.
Brandon now works at the dance studio started by his grandparents. And 2 weeks ago, during the Lunar New Year celebrations, he heard the studio door close. And he saw a man standing there pointing a semi-automatic pistol at him. He thought he was going to die, but he thought about the people inside. And in that instant, he found the courage to act and wrestle the semi-automatic pistol away from the gunman who had already killed 11 people in another dance studio. 11. He saved lives. It's time we do the same. Ban assault weapons now. Ban them now.
Really?
Once and
So
for
it's
all.
so it's the gun's fault. Also, define an assault weapon. Define an assault weapon.
I led the fight to do that in 1994. And in 10 years,
The assault weapons ban
was law,
did
mass
not
shootings
stop
went
gun
down.
violence.
After we let it expire in the Republican administration, mass shootings tripled. Let's finish the job and ban these assault weapons. And let's also come together on immigration. Make it a bipartisan issue once again.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
We now have a record number of personnel working to secure the border, arresting 8,000 human smugglers, seizing over 23,000 pounds of fentanyl in just the last several months. We've launched a new border plan last month. Unlawful migration from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela has come down
human
97% as a consequence
Look at
of
that human ball
But American
sack.
border problems won't be fixed until Congress acts.
Creepy
If we don't
scumbag.
pass my comprehensive immigration reform, at least pass my plan to provide the equipment and officers to secure the border.
Oh, you diseased old bastard.
And a pathway to citizenship.
You
for
lit
dreamers,
liquor.
Those on temporary status, farm workers, essential workers.
How dare you?
Here in the People's House, it's our duty to protect all the people's rights and freedoms. Congress must restore the right and the...
There you go. Boom. Got him.
Congress must restore the right
There's your
that was
yelling at him.
taken away in Roe v. Wade and protect Roe v. Wade.
Not a right.
Give every woman a consular right.
Not a right.
The Vice President and I are doing everything.
Oh, remember here, by the way, Joe Biden says the airline shouldn't treat your kids like baggage, but also we should be pushing young women to kill their children.
Extreme abortion bans. But
that's not treating them like baggage.
If Congress passes a national ban, I will veto it. But let's also pass.
Joe Biden, oh man, the audacity to talk about the border.
Let's also pass the Bipartisan Equality Act to ensure LGBTQ Americans, especially transgender young people, can live with
Didn't get the
safety
plus
and
in there.
dignity. Our strength.
Didn't get the plus in there.
Our strength is
Hateful.
not just the example of our power, but the power of our example. Let's remember the world's watching. I spoke in this chamber 1 year ago, just days after Vladimir Putin unleashed his brutal attack against Ukraine. A murderous assault, evoking images of death and destruction Europe suffered in World War II. Putin's invasion has been a test for the ages, a test for America, a test for the world. Would we stand for the most basic of principles? Would we stand for sovereignty? We stand for the right of people to live free of tyranny?
Dude, you fall off
Would
bikes.
we stand for the defense of democracy?
You can't stand. You fall downstairs.
Such defense matters to us because it keeps peace and prevents open season on would-be aggressors and threatens our prosperity.
Literally, oh, it's the mushroom.
1 year later, we know the answer. Yes, we would, and we did. We did. And together, we did what America always does at our best. We led. We united NATO. We built a global coalition. We stood against Putin's aggression. We stood with the Ukrainian people. Tonight, we're once again joined by Ukraine's ambassador to the United States. She represents not just her nation, but the courage of her people. Ambassador.
There's Paul.
Our ambassador is here.
Good old Paul.
We're united in our support of your country. Will you stand so we can all take a look at you?
No drink this time.
Thank
Paul's
you.
wearing pants. Paul's wearing pants in this video.
We're going to stand with you as long as it takes.
What size font do they have his speech printed out in?
Our nation's
It's like
working for more
Helvetica
freedom, more
50.
dignity, more peace, not just in Europe, but everywhere. Before I came to office, the story was about how the People's Republic of China was increasing its power, and America was failing in the world.
Oh, man.
Not anymore. We made clear, and I made clear in my personal conversations, which have been many, with President Xi, that we seek competition, not conflict.
Whoa.
But I will make no apologies that we're investing and to make America stronger. Investing in American innovation and industries that will define the future that China intends to be dominating.
He's getting slow. He's slurring.
Investing in our alliances and working with our allies to protect advanced technologies so they will not be used against us. Modernizing our military to safeguard stability and deter aggression. Today, we're in the strongest position in decades to compete with China or anyone else in the world. Anyone else in the world.
You just let China fly a spy balloon to Eric Swalwell's house and sleep with him. He popped. We know you popped the balloon with Eric Swalwell. We know you did.
Where we can advance American
Little
interests
prick.
and benefit the world, but make no mistake about it. As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did.
You didn't. You literally didn't. Sit down, Kamala.
Look.
My God, it's Karl Marx behind Jill Biden.
Clear. Winning the competition should unite all of us. We face serious challenges across the world. But in the past 2 years, democracies have become stronger, not weaker. Autocracy has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one.
Dude, your lizard person is
rallying
showing.
the world to meet those challenges, from climate to global health, to food insecurity, to terrorism, to territorial aggression. Allies are stepping up, spending more, and doing more.
Joe, your human exoskeleton is falling off.
The bridges we're forming between partners in the Pacific and those in the Atlantic.
Very lizardy.
Those who bet against America are learning how wrong they are. It's never, ever been a good bet to bet against America. Never.
Who would change places with Xi Jinping? Who? Who? Palpatine hands.
Well,
what are you doing? Some guy's got a cane. What's he doing with a cane?
Assumed was impossible, but never believed it. That's why a year ago,
you're going to give Paul Pelosi a flashback.
I stood here. We made real progress together. We passed a law making it easy for doctors to prescribe effective treatments for opioid addiction. We passed the gun safety law, making historic investments in mental health.
You're going to talk about opioids.
We launched the ARPA-H drive for breakthrough in the fights against cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes, and so much more.
He's slurring, guys. Like, look at how he's been going for an hour and 10 minutes.
Act, named after the late Iraq War veteran whose story about exposure to toxic burn kits I shared here last year. I understand something about those burn pits, but there's so much more to do. We can do it together. Joining us tonight is a father named Doug from Newton, New Hampshire. He wrote Jill, my wife, a letter, and me as well, about his courageous daughter, Courtney. A contagious laugh, his sister's best friend, her sister's best friend. He shared a story all too familiar to millions of Americans and many of you in the audience. Courtney discovered pills in high school.
That came here through an open border.
And eventually death from a fentanyl overdose. She was just 20 years old. Describing the last 8 years without her, Doug said, "There's no worse pain."
Dude, the fentanyl came from China through an open border.
Working to end the stigma and change laws. He told us he wants to start a journey toward American recovery. Doug, we're with you. Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year.
The fentanyl comes from China through our open border. The border's open because of you, Jack Wad.
So let's launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production in the sale and trafficking, with more drug detection machines, inspection cargo, stop pills and powder at the border.
I'm pissed, man. I'm pissed.
Working with couriers like FedEx to inspect more packages for drugs.
This craven scumbag.
To crack down on fentanyl trafficking. Second, let's do more on mental health, especially for our children. When millions of young people are struggling with bullying, violence, trauma, We owe them greater access to mental health care at their schools.
Bullying?
We must finally hold social media companies accountable for experimenting they're doing running children for profit.
Bullying?
It's time to pass bipartisan legislation.
Children for profit is your abortion industry, Joe, and bullying is what you did to Corn Pop. Justice for Corn Pop!
Ban targeted advertising to children and impose stricter limits on the
Justice for Corn
that
Pop.
companies collect on all of us. Third, let's do more to keep this nation's one's truly sacred obligation to equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home. Job training, job placement for veterans and their spouses as they
You
come
killed
to
13
return to
American service
civilian
members
life.
in Afghanistan.
Helping veterans afford the rent because
killed
no
them.
one should be homeless in America, especially someone who served the country.
You ordered them to their death, Joe Biden. And you have spent exactly $100 billion more on Ukraine than you have on homeless American veterans. You old, diseased human cancer.
Dennis McDonough's here, the VA. We had a first real discussion when I asked him to take the job. I'm glad he did. We were losing up to 25 veterans a day on suicide. Now we're
How many
losing
did you lose in
17 a day
Afghanistan, Joe?
to the silent scourge of suicide. 17 veterans a day are committing suicide. More than all the people being killed in the wars. Folks, VA is doing everything it can, including expanding mental health screening.
We're not at war.
Proven programs that recruits veterans to help other veterans understand what they're going through, get them the help they need. We got to do more. And fourth, last year, Jill and I reignited the cancer moonshot that I was able to start with President Obama asked me to lead our administration on this issue.
Cancer moonshot.
Our goal is to cut the cancer death rates at least by 50% in the next 25 years. Turn more cancers from death sentences to treatable diseases. Provide more support for patients and their families. It's personal to so many of us in this audience. Joining us are Morris and Candice, an Irishman and the daughter of immigrants from Panama. They met and fell in love in New York City and got married in the same chapel Jill and I got married in New York City.
What's going on?
Kindred spirits.
What's happening?
He wrote us a letter about his little daughter, Ava, and I saw her just before I came over. She was just a year old when she was diagnosed with rare kidney disease, cancer. After 26 blood transfusions, 11 rounds of radiation, 8 rounds of chemo, 1 kidney removed, giving a 5% survival rate. He wrote how in the darkest moments he thought, if she goes, I can't stay. Many of you have been through that as well. Jill and I understand that like so many of you. And he read Jill's book describing our family's cancer journey and how we tried to steal moments of joy where we could with Bo. For them, that glimmer of joy was the half smile of their baby girl. It meant everything to them. They never gave up hope. Little Ava never gave up hope. She turns 4 next month. They just found out Ava's beating the odds, is on her way to being cured of cancer. And she's watching from the White House tonight, and she's not asleep already. For the lives we can save.
Obviously not going to say anything about, God bless them, and I hope that their child gets better. Obviously.
For the lives we can save and the lives we've lost, let this be a truly American moment that rallies the country and the world together and proves that we can still do big things. 20 years ago, under the leadership of President Bush and countless advocates and champions, he undertook a bipartisan effort through PEPFAR to transform the global fight against HIV/AIDS. It's been a huge success. He thought big. He thought large. He moved. I believe we can do the same thing with cancer.
Look at the cane. Look at the cane in the
Let's
shot.
end cancer
Put
as
it
we know it.
down.
Cure some cancers
What is this?
once and for all.
What is that?
Folks, there's one reason why
Oh my
we've been able
God.
to do all of these things.
It's Nancy Pelosi.
Our democracy itself. It's the most fundamental thing of all. With democracy, Everything's possible. Without it, nothing is. The last few years, our democracy has been threatened and attacked, put at risk, put to the test in this very room on January the 6th.
Here we go.
And then just a few months ago, an unhinged big lie, assailed and unleashed a political violence, the home of the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, using the very same language the insurrectionists used as they stalked these halls and chanted on January 6th. Here tonight in this chamber
Nancy's drunk. Look at her.
is a man who bears the scars of that brutal
Nancy's
attack,
blackout.
but is as tough and as strong and as resilient as they get. My friend Paul Pelosi. Paul, stand up.
Oh, my God. He did it. Guys, we got to do the show on Paul Pelosi tomorrow. He did it. He conflated Paul Pelosi's attack with the MAGA movement.
We must all speak out.
Oh,
There's no place for political violence
you are
in America.
a disease.
We have to protect the right to vote, not suppress the fundamental right. Honor the results of our elections, not subvert the will of the people. We have to uphold the rule of law and restore trust in our institutions of democracy.
That's right.
We must give hate and extremism in any form no safe harbor.
This from the same jackasses that said that Donald Trump is not a legitimate president. Half of the scum, the parasites in that audience, said Donald Trump was not a legitimate president and that he stole the election from Hillary Clinton. We have them on tape.
Every generation of Americans has faced a moment where they have been
Stop waving the cane. You're going to give Paul Pelosi a flashback. Stop it.
And this is our moment. My fellow Americans, we meet tonight at an inflection point.
Oh, here it comes.
One of those moments that only a few generations ever face, where the direction we now take is going to decide the course of this nation for decades to come. We're not bystanders of history. We're not powerless before the forces that confront us. It's within our power of we, the people. We're facing the test of our time. We have to be the nation we've always been at our best, optimistic, hopeful, forward-looking. A nation that embraces light over dark, hope over fear, unity over division, stability over chaos. We have to see each other not as enemies, but as fellow Americans.
He's starting to drool.
We're good people. The only nation in the world built on an idea. The only one.
No. What? What exactly is the idea there, Joe? What's that? Why are they all wearing crayons?
Are defined by geography, ethnicity. But we're the only nation based on an idea that all of us, every one of us, is created equal in the image of God.
Oh, really? Unless the
A nation
kids you want to
that stands as a
abort?
beacon to the world. A nation in a new age of possibilities. So I've come to fulfill my constitutional obligation to report in the State of the Union. And here's my report. Because the soul of this nation is strong, because the backbone of this nation is strong, because the people of this nation are strong, the State of the Union is strong.
Look, Liz, Nancy Pelosi can't even stand. Good for Kevin. Good for Kevin. Look at Kevin. The Rock. Stay a rock, pal.
I'm not new to this place. I stand here tonight,
No,
having
you're
served
not.
as long as about any one of you who've ever served here.
You're fossil. You've never had a job
I've never been
in the
more
private sector.
optimistic about our future, about the future of America. We just have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. God bless you all.
Loud
and may God
noises!
protect our truth. Thank you.
Oh, man.
President Biden, in a roughly hour and 15-minute speech, the State of the Union, he is not the only voice in that chamber tonight. He got some words of encouragement from the left side of the aisle and some words of criticism from the other side of the aisle tonight that seemed to, at times, relish mixing it up, at other times.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just saw there was a absolute catastrophe for Joe Biden. He was shouted down multiple times. In the chamber, he lied, essentially through his teeth through the entire program, but most especially as you watch him bumble and fumble and figure out his way back to the dementia ward of the local nursing home. You saw the craven absolute disgust of him using a horrible attack in Memphis. Nobody is saying that it's not an awful attack, but trying to like make it a race issue. That was, I mean, it was so despicable, saying that his white kids don't ever, his white kids don't have to follow orders when police officers pull them over. What a sick, craven old lunatic. This guy tells a story about Corn Pop, where it's like, I went after this young black man to beat him up, and I got a chain and a razor blade to beat him up. So this same guy, this same old cretin, man, look at all these fossils. Look at all these fossils. You want to know why America's in the state that it is? You want to know why America's in the state that it is? There's Bill Pascrell, that guy, right there. The guy he's shaking his hand with. That guy's like 90 years old. His district in New Jersey looks like a bomb went off. I mean, it is just so bad. All of these people. Look at the purple hair. That's Rosa DeLauro. Look at these absolute freak shows. Degenerates. Lizard people. Boy, it was really bad. Man, I got so upset at that. I am so disgusted by this. I was so angry at those Memphis lines with him there. We will have Sarah Sanders soon, ladies and gentlemen. Sarah Sanders will be doing her response. We love Sarah, and we'll certainly stick through to that moment as we watch Joe Biden sort of like fumble and sort of cough on everyone. Fake teeth, fake hair. Somebody who's not fake. It's the great ALX, our executive producer at this show, who is a very, very smart young man. He'll be joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, to tell us what he thinks about this whole debacle. Hopefully we can keep sort of the... Can we keep the picture up, Royce? Can we keep the video up? There we go. Nice.
There we go.
ALX, got you, buddy?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me loud and clear? There we go.
I got you.
This is... this was an absolute
Miley!
joke. Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah. They're
General
talking...
Milley!
They're talking right now about the balloon incident, how he hit the intelligence from Trump. That's exactly up. And then we've got Adam Schiff in there, too.
Yep.
Oh, it was your idea.
You set the balloon. Oh, that's right. Adam Schiff. Oh, my God. Adam Schiff and General Milley all together talking about their great plan of sending the balloon, popping the balloon by sending it on a hot date to China buffet with Eric Swalwell.
My gosh. Yeah, and then
Little prick.
the entire time he was just, screaming loud noises the entire time. David
What was
Sachs
he doing, man?
posted "Old man yells at cloud," saying this is every Biden speech.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely nothing of substance. It's just all yelling at random times. We got the January 6th Paul Pelosi connection. We knew that was coming.
Every line in the book.
Yep.
You have him talking about going after tax cheats while his son is literally being indicted for being a tax cheat.
Yes, and the Biden IRS, the Biden IRS is actually going to target waitress and waiters' tips. I saw that story come out today.
That's right. So, what was the standout moment for you, ALX? You are a keen observer of these things.
The standout moment and most viral moment happened before the speech. It was Doug Emhoff and Jill Biden kissing on the lips. Mind you, there's still a COVID emergency until May 11th. I don't think that's socially distancing. They're kissing on the lips before Congress.
Do we have it?
And,
okay.
Yeah, let's see this.
Rolls Royce is telling us we got it. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, cringe alert. Oh man, right on the lips. Whoa.
Yeah, that image is everywhere on social media right now. That is the number one viral moment I've been seeing. And then the number two, I think, is MTG yelling liar, and everyone else yelling liar when Biden claimed that Republicans want to cut Social Security. So that was, I think, the number two moment.
So I believe we have those moments queued up, but before we get to them, because there might have been, I might have been engaging in some crosstalk because I really wanted to fact check. I mean, we told the audience, and we love all of you. We told you that we would be your voice here. We'd put up your comments, and we would shout down Joe Biden and tell, just like you at home with the TV. And, hopefully a bottle of Jack Daniels is what you needed to get through that speech. I think that I missed the second time that Joe Biden was shouted down. There were 2 times, right, that he was shouted down by the Republicans. Can you illuminate for us, ALX, what they were?
I didn't catch the second one. I think I was getting something else up on, Team Benny. We're getting everything out. Yes. I believe it was with the fentanyl death. They were saying secure the border. That was the second time. But the first time, they said that Republicans wanted to cut Social Security, and everyone booed. And he said, "Oh, come to me and call my office if anyone disagrees with that." And MDG was a screaming liar. She was the number one. But yeah, you're right. The second one was the fentanyl deaths.
So we have Joe Biden getting shouted down during the State of the Union. Weak, feeble, diseased, disjointed man. I think it's worth watching. Let's go.
Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. Of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. It means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you. Look, folks, the idea is that we're not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond. Folks.
Oh, that is definitely the meme. This is the live shot of Joe Biden. That is definitely the meme, right? Based Mike Lee.
Based Mike Lee. What? There it is.
What are you talking about?
That's so good.
That is definitely the meme. That is definitely the meme. So Joe Biden is sitting here poking his fingers in people's faces, sniffing them, Head and Shoulders, doing the Head and Shoulders ad. Look at how wrinkly and old. How do you even get hair like that? Like that's not living people's hair. That is absolutely lizard people exoskeleton hair. Everybody knows it. That's not how a normal person with a soul would grow their hair. There's no way. What the hell is that, ALX?
Yeah, it looks like it's just like glued on. And like he probably had to. He tweeted that picture yesterday that he was getting ready. You have to take into context this entire speech with all of the gaffes and whatnot tonight. That comes with probably a full weeks of preparation. Never mind the whole day yesterday that he spent preparing for it. So he had an entire day to prepare for this, and it still came out like that. And he still looked like complete crap in front of the American people. So,
what were the biggest gaffes?
Well, he slurred a lot of his words. It seemed like he was trying to get ahead of himself. And then I would just say every time that he was just shouting things like, name me one, when he's talking about Xi Jinping.
Whoa, stop for a second. Name me one with Xi Jinping. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so set that up for a second, ALX. What the hell was that about? I was totally caught off guard by that craziness. We have the clip, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We will play you the clip in just a moment. But ALX, lead us into this.
Yeah, he was saying, name me a world leader that would want to switch positions with him, I guess. I'm not sure where he was going with it. I guess he was saying that America has the upper hand on China and no one would want to be in his place. But he just went on a complete tangent screaming, name me one. And he does this all the time. It's super weird, and I don't know why he does this.
Name me one! All right, you want to see the number one sundown syndrome from the old man, the old dusty disease man. Wait, hold on just a second. He's crossing. When he crosses the aisle, that means he's shaking hands with a Republican. Do you know which member this is, Alex?
I do not.
I actually don't know who that guy is.
Couldn't say.
Got a beard. I don't know who that guy is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Name me one!
Autocracy has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one. America's rallying.
Yeah, okay, ALX. Next time you and I are out at a bar, you'll be like, hey, I'll be like, hey, I want to get me a bourbon. And you'll be like, name me one! Which one?
That sounds
Which
about
bourbon?
accurate.
Name me one! Rolls-Royce,
Yeah,
Rolls-Royce, you have to pop on screen here for a second. Rolls-Royce is going to turn 21 in a week. In a week.
Yes. The day
Rolls-Royce.
before I get to Tampa, so we'll
That's
all
right.
be out.
Turning 21. What up? Rolls-Royce might be having his first. You might be able to name him one bourbon.
Name me
when you're
one,
here,
Royce.
Alex. You never know. You never know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what the wife lets him do. We'll see. We'll see. She's a lovely lady. All right. Well, Rolls-Royce might be screaming, "Name me one." Who knows? Who knows? So that was a bit of like a weird, creepy flub. Also, the McDonald's line is so weird to me.
Yeah, the McDonald's Wi-Fi thing.
He said that like a
It's such
million
an
times.
overused line, and I've never even heard of anyone actually doing it. It's like, it's just like overused at this point, and he probably doesn't even know what he's saying. It's just a talking point that they keep feeding in. And I see a clip in here too. It looks like he got lost as usual with his dismount from the dais there, asking which way he should go. It looks like we have that clip if we want to play that.
This is Joe Biden getting lost, trying to find his way out of a paper bag. There's only one way to go. You ever been down to the well of the Capitol? Even the guy with the horns, the showman knew which way to go.
Yeah.
in the well of the Capitol. The guy with the raccoon horns. Oh, there's Sheila Jackson Lee. Oh my God, she doesn't know how to use her phone. Look, look at this moment. Look at this moment with the two of them.
Oh, she almost dropped it.
Chips. Remember, chips. Goodness gracious, Sheila Jackson Lee, a total racist, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
In favor of legislation, she introduced legislation that would make it a crime to criticize a black person.
Oh yeah,
This is the equivalent. And let's talk about that. Oh, here's Doug Emhoff saying he needs a mask to kiss his wife there, but no mask to kiss Jill Biden. Let's talk about this. I thought that the Tyree Nichols stuff was the most craven and utterly diseased. That side of talking about treating kids like baggage for a guy who's pro-abortion up to and after the moment of birth and is pro hiring people who steal women's baggage. I thought the most repulsive moment was absolutely the Tyree Nichols moment. I mean, making that, racializing that, like turning that, like going, that was the most extremist left. This was like actually relatively moderate. There's clearly Joe Biden trying to moderate as he wishes to run in 2024. The most extreme left is to racialize an attack inside of a dark blue Democrat city. Like the only little blues, go look at a map of Tennessee. Everything is red. There's a teeny little speck, and that's Memphis. That's blue. Democrat city council, Democrat mayor, Democrat police chief, 5 black police officers commit a heinous attack. Nobody's arguing that, of course. But what we're trying to say here is like to somehow cravenly try and make that about how Hunter Biden, he never had to tell Hunter Biden to worry about police. What a sick thing to say.
Yeah, and MTG made that point at a hearing, I believe it was earlier today, where she pointed out that all 5 of them were indeed black as well, and it was in a Democrat area. And then she's like making the point, like, how does this have to do with racism? Is your case that in a Democrat-controlled city, they're training their black cops to be racist against other black people? And then she pointed out
Right.
the unfair treatment of the J6 prisoners, of course. But yeah, to your point, it's like, and then he connects it to his kids. It's like that has nothing to do with anything, and you don't want to get started on his kids. But
Dude,
that's
I'm
beside-
like talk about a white kid that I'm totally in favor of getting arrested, Hunter Biden. And what an absolute disgrace. What a spit in the eye of the American people to have these concurrent and parallel scandals with your son having to do with misuse of firearms, being a tax cheat, foreign interference. That's not even including all of the sex trafficking and drug abuse. And he's sitting there with a father who has a child who, I believe, his daughter perished from fentanyl usage. A lot of times this happens accidentally, right? The kid thinks they're taking some type of party drug and it's laced with fentanyl, and they die. I actually don't know about this dad and his father. Tragic, obviously, made more tragic by the fact that fentanyl is made in China. It comes through our open border. And so that guy is the guest of Joe Biden, and here's Joe Biden signed the crack law, wrote the crack law, and here's his kid using crack cocaine.
And that's the other thing too about like when they're talking about, oh, my children never had to worry about the police. Just the drug crimes alone would have an African American person locked up for 20 years in prison. Never mind all the other crimes found on the laptop. So for him to exemplify his children as a case of, oh, I didn't have to
white
worry
privilege.
About
Alex,
it's so out of touch.
You've convinced me. You're right. You convinced me. Actually, Joe Biden did tell the truth. He did tell the truth. His white privileged kids don't have to worry about cops.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right. If you and I did a scintilla, a modicum of, if Rolls-Royce had a teeny sip of alcohol before his 21st birthday, Gitmo for Rolls-Royce. Unfortunately.
And the point is, that's a Democrat
send him back to Cuba.
Yeah,
very
sad. Democrat run
Very
area.
sad. Rolls-Royce back to Cuba. He says, no, please. What a fraud. What a fraud. It's so sad. He raised Hunter Biden. If he cared actually about gun laws or drug abuse, he would put his kid in jail. Prove it, Joe. Put your own kid in jail.
Mm-hmm. Can't believe he's still on the floor. I can't believe he's still awake.
I know. Which Joe Biden is this? Look at it. Look at
he
helmet
actually
hair.
wants to
Look
get
at
out.
Darth Vader shaking his hand.
Oh gosh, he just doesn't know where to go. That's the problem.
No,
He doesn't know how
he
to.
doesn't know who these people are. He's looking for applesauce. Everyone knows it. He's like, where's the applesauce? He doesn't know. Stop kissing these people. They were like the COVID lockdown.
Yeah, they
mafia.
can't keep their mouths off of each other.
Slobbering all over each other is repulsive. We want to see Sarah Sanders. Hey, Alexa, is Sarah Sanders coming up?
Yeah, let's see. Awaiting GOP response from Sarah Sanders. It still says on Fox. So they'll probably wait for him to leave the floor before they go to her. She's probably all set up in position.
I think that makes sense. Okay, so he's now at the back of the well on the floor. He is now exiting the floor. You can see there he's greeting. This is kind of strange. It's like interesting. If you watched Trump, then Trump was like surrounded by a large mass of people in every direction, including Democrats, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because Trump was like wildly popular with Democrats. Look at these. These are empty rows. These are empty rows from Joe Biden's side of people not wanting to say hi.
Everybody's
to Joe Biden.
already pieced out. Yeah.
Everyone's gone. No members of the squad. Look at Joe Biden. Look at how old. Dude, look at him. Total poltergeist here.
He's translucent.
Ugh, yeah. Oh, no. Look at the back of that. Oh, man. I've seen that character in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Look at that. It was an empty... Look at the empty Congress.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're right.
Joe Biden
deserted.
Had no one. Hey, yeah.
There she is.
There's our girl. She popping on?
Let's see. Keeping an eye on.
And says awaiting. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't want to take... Fox News is not streaming live on YouTube. It's the easiest way to get like a clean picture is YouTube. and Fox News is, to like just sort of like track with one of these. So Fox News was not. We would probably have used Fox. C-SPAN had like a really weird advertisement on their feed. It's not like we have any love for NBC. But they just had a clean feed. That's all. And we wouldn't be able to stand putting up CNN.
Yeah,
but as soon as Sarah goes live, they'll all take it, right? So
yeah.
Okay.
Fox doesn't have it yet either.
All right. Any other notable moments that we can replay here?
I would say one of the notable moments that didn't happen at the event was Donald Trump was live truthing during the entire thing. He was saying this speech has too many of the word folks in it. And he was just like, ranting about every line. It was pretty funny to watch. And then he actually gave his own real State of the Union. I don't know how much time we have before Sarah, but I didn't know if we wanted to play some of that. I believe it's like
Oh, totally. Hey, man, we'll put up Trump's State of the Union just to do a palate cleanser. And we'll toss up Trump's State of the Union. We got that, Rolls-Royce? And then, of course, if Sarah pops on, because right now it's just an advertisement, if Sarah pops on, then we'll cut to Sarah.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here is Donald Trump's State of the Union. Without further ado.
Here's the real State of the Union. Over the past 2 years under Biden, millions and millions of illegal aliens from 160 different countries have stormed across our southern border. Drug cartels are now raking in billions of dollars from smuggling poison to kill our people and to kill our children. Savage killers, rapists, and violent criminals are being released from jail to continue their crime wave, and under Biden, the murder rate has reached the highest in the history of our country. Biden and the radical Democrats have wasted trillions of dollars and caused the worst inflation in half a century. Real wages are down 21 months in a row. Gas prices have soared and are now going up much higher than even before. And the typical American family is paying $2,200 in increased energy and food costs each year. Joe Biden's weaponized Justice Department, and I'm a victim of it, is persecuting his political opponents. His administration is waging war on free speech. They're trying to indoctrinate and mutilate our children. He's leading us to the brink of World War III. And on top of all of that, he's the most corrupt president in American history, and it's not even close. But the good news is we are going to reverse every single crisis, calamity, and disaster that Joe Biden has created. I am running for president to end the destruction of our country and to complete the unfinished business of making America great again. We will make our country better than ever before, and we will always put America first. Thank you.
All right, well, I was watching the comment section here. A lot of people very, very happy to see Donald Trump. Again, if you were able to last this long, then a little bit of a palate cleanser there to get yourself a bit of Donald Trump in it. It's nice to sort of hear that command of the English language without the stuttering or the stammering or the sundown syndrome.
Yeah, that's one of the other things I'll say about Trump's State of the Unions. They were very well thought out. And he knew, you could tell that he put thought into what he was saying, and he knew the speech. And again, like I said earlier, Biden seemed like he was rushing to get to the next sentence before he finished the first one. And he tweeted out that he was preparing over 24 hours ago. So he's had a lot of time with this speech in front of him, and he's still mumbling through it. He doesn't know what he's saying. Trump's States of the Union, they're very well thought out, almost poetic at some points.
That's right.
That first one that he did with the stories, that was very well thought out.
Very well thought out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm seeing the GOP response here. Here we go.
Taught me not to believe every story I hear. So forgive me for not believing much of anything I heard tonight from President Biden.
Nice.
From out of control inflation and violent crime to the dangerous border crisis and threat from China. Biden and the Democrats have failed you. They know it, and you know it. And it's time for a change. Tonight, let us reaffirm our commitment to a timeless American idea that government exists not to rule the people, but to serve the people. Democrats want to rule us with more government control, but that's not who we are. America is the greatest country the world has ever known because we're the freest country the world has ever known, with a people who are strong and resilient. 5 months ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. It was a hard time for our family, particularly our kids, Scarlett, Huck, and George. But we kept our faith and persevered. Thanks to exceptional doctors here in Arkansas, a successful surgery, and the grace of God, I am cancer-free. Through it all, I couldn't help but think about my mom. She was 20 years old and in her first year of marriage when she was diagnosed with spinal cancer. The doctors told her she might not live, and if she did live, they said she'd never walk again. And if she did walk, she'd definitely never have children. The daughter she was told she'd never have was just sworn in as the new governor of Arkansas and is speaking to you tonight.
Dope.
Adversity and fear of the unknown can paralyze us, but faith propels us to charge boldly ahead. We can't stand still in the face of great challenges. You and I were put on this earth for such a time as this, to charge boldly ahead. I'll be the first to admit, President Biden and I don't have a lot in common. I'm for freedom, he's for government control. At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country. And at 80, he's the oldest president in American history. I'm the first woman to lead my state, and he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is.
Nice.
In the radical left's America, Washington taxes you and lights your hard-earned money on fire. But you get crushed with high gas prices, empty grocery shelves, and our children are taught to hate one another on account of their race, but not to love one another or our great country. Whether Joe Biden believes this madness or is simply too weak to resist it, his administration has been completely hijacked by the radical left.
Good.
The dividing line in America is no longer between right or left. The choice is between normal or crazy. It's time for a new generation of Republican leadership. Upon taking office just a few weeks ago, I signed executive orders to ban CRT, racism, and indoctrination in our schools, eliminate the use of derogatory term Latinx in our government, repealed COVID orders, and said never again to authoritarian mandates and shutdowns. Americans want common sense from their leaders, but in Washington, the Biden administration is doubling down on crazy. President Biden inherited the fastest economic recovery on record, the most secure border in history, cheap, abundant, homegrown energy, fast rising wages, a rebuilt military, and a world that was stable and at peace. But over the last 2 years, Democrats destroyed it all. Despite Democrats' trillions in reckless spending and mountains of debt, we now have the worst border crisis in American history. As a mom, my heart breaks for every parent who has lost a son or daughter to addiction. 100,000 Americans a year are now killed from drug overdoses, largely from fentanyl pouring across our southern border. Yet the Biden administration refuses to secure the border and save American lives. And after years of Democrat attacks on law enforcement and calls to defund the police, violent criminals roam free, while law-abiding families live in fear. Beyond our border from Afghanistan to Ukraine, from North Korea to Iran, President Biden's weakness puts our nation and the world at risk. And the president's refusal to stand up to China, our most formidable adversary, is dangerous and unacceptable. President Biden is unwilling to defend our border, defend our skies, and defend our people. He is simply unfit to serve as commander-in-chief.
Boom.
And while you reap the consequences of their failures, the Biden administration seems more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality Americans face every day. Most Americans simply want to live their lives in freedom and peace.
Preach.
But we are under attack in a left-wing culture war we didn't start and never wanted to fight.
Preach.
Every day we are told we must partake in their rituals, salute their flags, and worship their false idols, all while big government colludes with big tech to strip away the most American thing there is, your freedom of speech. That's not normal. It's crazy, and it's wrong. Make no mistake, Republicans will not surrender this fight. We will lead with courage and do what's right, not what's politically correct or convenient. Republicans believe in an America where strong families thrive in safe communities, where jobs are abundant and paychecks are rising, where the freedom our veterans shed their blood to defend is the birthright of every man, woman, and child. These are the principles Republican governors are fighting for, and in Washington, under the leadership of Senate Republicans and Speaker Kevin McCarthy, we will hold the Biden administration accountable. Down the street from where I sit is my alma mater, Little Rock Central High. As a student there, I will never forget watching my dad, Governor Mike Huckabee, and President Bill Clinton hold the doors open to the Little Rock Nine. Doors that 40 years earlier had been closed to them because they were Black. Today, those children once barred from the schoolhouse are now heroes memorialized in bronze at our State House. I'm proud of the progress our country has made, and I believe giving every child access to a quality education, regardless of their race or income, is the civil rights issue of our day. Tomorrow, I will unveil an education package that will be the most far-reaching, bold, conservative education reform in the country. My plan empowers parents with real choices, improves literacy and career readiness, and helps put a good teacher in every classroom by increasing their starting salary from one of the lowest to one of the highest in the nation. Here in Arkansas and across America, Republicans are working to end the policy of trapping kids in failing schools and sentencing them to a lifetime of poverty. We will educate, not indoctrinate our kids, and put students on a path to success. It's time for a new generation to lead. This is our moment. This is our opportunity. A new generation born in the waning decades of the last century, shaped by economic booms and stock market busts, forged by the triumph of the Cold War and the tragedy of 9/11. A generation brimming with passion and new ideas to solve age-old problems. A generation moored to our deepest values and oldest traditions, yet unafraid to challenge the present order and find a better way forward. If we seize this moment together, America can once again be the land of the free and the home of the brave. During my 2.5 years at the White House, I traveled on every foreign trip with the president. A trip I will never forget was on December 25th of 2018. My husband, Brian, and I had just cleaned up wrapping paper that was shoved into every corner of our house, thanks to our 3 kids. When I had to walk out on my own family's Christmas, unable to tell them where I was going that night because the place I'd be traveling was so dangerous. They didn't want anybody to know that the president was going to be on the ground even for a few hours. We boarded Air Force One in complete and total darkness. There were no lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. Our phones and computers shut down and turned in. We were going completely off the grid. Nearly 12 hours later, in the pitch black of night, we landed in the war-torn part of Western Iraq. It was again a similar scene. No lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. The only thing you could see was coming from about a mile away in a dining hall where hundreds of troops who were in the fight against ISIS had gathered expecting to celebrate Christmas with senior military leadership from around the region. They had absolutely no idea that the president and first lady were about to walk into that room. And when they did, it was a sight and a scene and a sound I hope I never forget. The room erupted. Men and women from every race, religion, and region, every political party, every demographic you can imagine, started chanting in perfect unison over and over and over again, USA, USA, USA. It was an absolutely perfect picture of what makes our country great. One of the young soldiers yelled from the back, "Mr. President, I re-enlisted in the military because of you." And the president said, "And son, I'm here because of you." Shortly after, that young soldier came up to me. He said, "Sarah, you have a tough job." I told him, "What I do is nothing. You take bombs and bullets. That's a tough job." And in a moment that I know I'll cherish for the rest of my life, that soldier reached up and he pulled the Brave Rifles patch he wore on his shoulder, and he placed it into my hand, a sign of ultimate respect. And he said, "Sarah, we are in this together." Overwhelmed with emotion and speechless, I just hugged him with tears in my eyes and a grateful heart for our heroes who keep us free. That young man and everyone who has served before him, all of those who serve alongside him, and the thousands we know who will be called upon to serve after him, deserve to know they have a country and a community back home doing our part in the fight for freedom. America is great because we are free. But today, our freedom is under attack, and the America we love is in danger. President Biden and the Democrats have failed you, and it's time for a change. A new generation of Republican leaders are stepping up, not to be caretakers of the status quo, but to be change makers for the American people. We know not what the future holds, but we know who holds the future in his hands. And with God as our witness, we will show the world that America is still the place where freedom reigns and liberty will never die. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless America.
Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders with the rebuttal from the Republican.
All right, ALX, that was the rebuttal slash Sarah Sanders telling an emotional story, right? It was like a little less of like a point-by-point rebuttal because you never know what's going to be in these speeches. You can kind of guess, but you don't know what they're going to talk about, right? So I've been in the press gallery and they hand you the speech like as the president's walking in, and that's when the speech gets sort of released. So it's kind of hard to write a rebuttal necessarily. You can sort of guess. She went after Joe Biden a little bit, saying he's not a competent commander-in-chief and that he has no qualifications to lead this country. That was probably the hottest line from Sarah Sanders. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and I like how she outlined how she is basically the complete inverse of Joe Biden. Joe Biden's the oldest president in his 80s, and he's running for re-election, and she's the youngest governor. And basically, they're ideological inverses. And I liked how she really hit on parents and how she's emphasizing parents' rights, and how she's going to unveil that new legislation tomorrow. And then I like how she dovetailed with her own experience with President Trump overseas and that touching story. We all know the legendary story of his Christmas visit over there at Afghanistan. And it just, it's a complete, I think this is probably one of the best responses I've ever heard. Because it was honestly less politically charged and more of what her views are. Of course, she brought up how Joe Biden is the inverse of her and her beliefs, but it was more targeted on, the vision for a new generation of leadership in Republicans, and basically, what she thinks the future of this country should look like. And I think it was really refreshing.
We were putting comments up on screen, man. Wasn't that refreshing? It was really refreshing to hear somebody just talk about God, talk about the Creator who has us in His hands, and talk about patriotism, and talk about like real, actual support of the troop, not fake support of the troops, or fake support of police, or fake supports of freedom when you're running vaccine mandates. That was very, very refreshing. ALX, I have a question for you. You are a young man. So is Kevin McCarthy, kind of, right? Like, Kevin McCarthy is young he's like half the age of like Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi. I mean, he is. He's literally half their age. So that's technically young.
Yep.
How do you think Kevin McCarthy did during this State of the Union? Speaking of new generations.
It was pretty funny. It looked kind of like he was falling asleep during half of it. It seemed like he was trying to do it on purpose. What I will say is he wasn't Nancy Pelosi, and he didn't tear up the speech. And he actually made a comment on that earlier, how he wasn't going to tear up the speech. And he doesn't believe in that sort of, political, gesture. And, it's just so immature, especially for the people that talked about decorum this entire time. And, they were so offended by everything that Trump tweeted and everything. And now she's going to rip up an official document. So he didn't do that. So I think, and again, I think leading up to this, he's showed leadership. Again, I wasn't the biggest fan of him as becoming speaker, but he's really stepped up. Obviously, his actions will be judged going forward if he follows through with the rhetoric. But yeah, I think he's doing a good job so far.
I think that he had a couple of memeable moments. He just posted on Instagram from his official Speaker McCarthy verified Instagram page a memeable moment of Joe Biden staring at the podium, Kamala Harris standing up clapping like a lobotomized seal, and him sort of looking over with this expression. And he says in a caption, we'll throw it up here on screen, he says, "When you have really good seats to a really bad sporting events."
That is incredibly accurate. I have been in that position too. Same with like really good seats to a bad concert when I'm going with family members and I don't quite enjoy the music, but I'm, front row or whatever. I can definitely relate to that.
When you have really good seats to a really bad sporting event. Good for you, McCarthy. So McCarthy's getting in on the trolling. MTG, ladies and gentlemen, we just have to show you like this clip one more time. I guess we can just play the cold, Royce. But like MTG tried to bring, and we're very close with their team. Alex, maybe you can tell us the background here. Tried to bring a spy balloon into the State of the Union. Is this correct?
Yeah. I think she tried to get it in. I saw the staff member that I talked to a couple actually behind them, and one of them was recording it. So it looked like they were trying to get it into the building. They didn't end up getting it in, I don't think, but she walked around whatever office building. I think it might have been Rayburn. I'm not sure where she is now, but yeah, she walked around with it, and obviously it was symbolic of the Chinese spy balloon that he let fly over our entire country. But it didn't look like they made it into the actually chamber with it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, your Republican Party remaining strong. Watch Marjorie Taylor Greene go straight full on epic troll goat mode.
Just notice that white line, everybody.
That's great.
So good.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene ultimately was not allowed in with the white balloon. So very strong performance, I would say, from Republicans, right? So if you're going to talk about, you're center right, I'm center right. We obviously we look, I sometimes hate the Republican Party more than I hate the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party will stab you in the face, like the Republican Party will stab you in the back. But I'm kind of proud of the Republicans tonight. They shouted down Biden. It wasn't just like one kook in the back. They shouted down Biden during the speech. Marjorie Taylor Greene was trolling Joe Biden with that balloon. Kevin McCarthy is trolling Joe Biden after the speech. Multiple times they shouted down Biden, kind of threw him off his game. And then Sarah Sanders was just such a breath of fresh air. She's just such a nice, calming, refreshing, wonderful, wholesome, Southern. You just wanted her to cook you a bourbon pecan pie, which she actually does, and I've tried before. They're delicious.
Yeah, and it wasn't just grandstanding too from the Republicans. There were actual issues that he they were responding to. He was calling them out for wanting to cut Medicare and Social Security, which they didn't want to do, and all of them are with a resounding no and boo, because that's not accurate. And then also when he himself was grandstanding about fentanyl deaths and everything. And basically, they were all calling him out and saying, no, it's a lie. It's because you didn't secure our border. So there were two moments that were willing to be called out on, and they weren't just grandstanding, and it wasn't just politics.
I think we have Donald Trump's reaction here on Truth Social.
Yeah. Too much. We're used to the word folks. And then he had another one where he said, come on, this can't be the speechwriters writing it in. This has to be him ad-libbing, right? And then this one just showed Swalwell, a man who spent a lot of time in Spy Fang's honey net and was removed from our most important committee. Only in America. Oh, yeah. Classic.
Good. Okay, so Donald Trump was live truthing this event. Donald Trump will be heading back to Facebook. I know we had a lot of people watching on Facebook. Donald Trump will be heading back to Instagram and presumably Twitter here in the coming days and weeks. He'll be allowed back on all. He's already allowed back on all those platforms. So we'll see what happens, and we'll get we'll obviously get more of that. We played you Donald Trump's response to the State of the Union, Donald Trump's State of the Union, and Sarah Sanders' response to the State of the Union. Let us know what you think, ladies and gentlemen. But I believe what Americans really wanted to see was sort of the difference between the craven abortion mongrels who are sitting there wanting to codify Roe into law while talking about airlines that treat children like baggage. It's it's just deeply repulsive, and then using the deeply unfortunate and sickening death of a young man in Memphis to score political points, making it a racial thing. When just to cravenly divide the country, actually.
Yeah. And that's what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. He's trying to divide the country. And the thing is, he saved them all for the end, to soften the blow from his entire speech, because he knows that people aren't going to criticize him when he's talking about these sensitive issues. And oh my gosh, there goes my AirPod again. And that he's not going to be attacked for talking about those things while they're there, although it's accurate, because the parents are right there, and obviously it's in bad taste. But he knows exactly what he's doing, and it's sickening. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen,
we certainly have had our share of viral moments tonight. None worse, however, than the extremely creepy reptile kiss between Kamala Harris's husband and Jill Biden. So these would be like the first lady and the second gentleman, as it were. If you believe in old-fashioned gender roles as such. And so joining us, ladies and gentlemen, right now to break all of that down, to break down the most viral moment of the night, one of the greatest internet experts that we know, Danny Deyerbina, currently a student at the not so great George Washington University that just canceled its own mascot.
You can't call it that anymore, Benny. It's not the George Washington University. It's the Hippos. We don't really know at this point, but it's definitely not George Washington. He's going to appear on that Disney Plus show. They're going to pick it our campus soon, so we'll see. We'll have little Disney Plus employees outside our school.
Danny, we wanted you to hop on. Nothing slips the keen eye of Danny. Danny is one of the people on our team that is able to catch every single viral moment. And Danny caught this moment before anyone else, I think, on the internet. The moment of the first lady kissing the second gentleman. They're both married, not to each other, but they are like locked in a deep and super gross lizard kiss here. Maybe you can break this down for us, Danny.
So I don't know what hurts more. If it's my eyes watching this entire speech, my ears listening to it, or my fingers just like tweeting about it. But I got to say, that was probably the worst moment, is logging onto the State of the Union and just seeing Jill Biden kissing the second gentleman. It was truly, truly disturbing. And then there is that clip of Kamala Harris kissing Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman, with a mask on. They're like, it's a really awkward thing where they're like hugging outside of like Air Force 2 or something. They're like all masked up. And then here you can see no masks in sight. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Joe Biden was touting his COVID response, but this isn't much of a response to me.
Paul Pelosi's sitting down there looking lonely. Like, oh, come on, man.
Well, they've got Bono there. They're entertained.
That's right. Yeah, there's Bono.
I was a little shocked though. Like, why wasn't SBF in the gallery? I mean, wasn't he like the second largest Democrat donor? I mean, I think
how much do you have to donate?
Yeah,
dude,
how much do you have to donate to get to the gallery?
$37 million, and you can't even get a ticket
to the bad sporting event. You can't even get that ticket.
Oh man,
pretty expensive.
Really? Okay. So what does this say? What does this say, Danny? You are a keen observer of these things. That Kamala Harris won't kiss her husband without a mask on, both of them, but Kamala's husband will kiss Joe Biden on the lips.
This probably means they're as confused as we all are watching this. This whole charade play out. I mean, these people are not. They're past their prime for sure. I mean, you can see Joe Biden. You said he was like dribbling for applesauce walking off that stage. They don't really know what's happening, and I got to say that clip kind of showed it all in a quick like 2-second span, and it only got worse after that, to be honest.
You are a Jill Biden fashion critique. Your thoughts on Jill Biden's purple shiny dress tonight?
It was a bold choice, but I got to say, Kamala's choice of not dressing up like a UPS driver tonight was a welcome addition to her wardrobe. So it's pretty interesting seeing this all play out.
I think that Bono and Joe Biden go to the same barber. They both have creepy old man mullets. Also, like, can we please? I would be totally in favor of a new Patriot Act to stop the terrorism of Apple automatically downloading Bono's albums to my iPhone. Please stop that. Whatever we need, I will sign the next infrastructure bill, whatever it takes, whatever it takes to get them to stop shoving Bono's albums into my iPhone.
I think this is how we unite the country.
We're getting the dings. Somebody has their ding. It's got to be you, Danny. You have your dinger on. There you go, buddy. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got one more Republican response. Danny, can you lead us in here? Marjorie Taylor Greene has been pretty viral tonight. I would say probably the most viral member of the Republicans. She didn't get the official response to the State of the Union. But Marjorie's had a heck of a night tonight. Can you give us some of the highlights, Danny, from Marjorie, and then lead us into her response to the State of the Union?
Yeah, absolutely. And so Joe Biden was going on about, he was literally just flat out lying about the Republicans' agenda, and she just stood up and like called him out, like clapped back pretty quickly, and she just said, "You just called him a liar." Stood up, called him a liar, and then the whole conference started calling him a liar too. So it's pretty interesting to see that. I mean, as much as the left likes to hate or loves to hate MTG, she definitely is a leader in our party, and I think she's got a future there for sure.
So she is releasing her own State of the Union response. I believe we have it loaded. Is that correct, Rolls-Royce? We got it ready to go? Okay. All right. Now, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I believe she was watching from the planet Hoth in the Star Wars planetary system. She had a fuzzy white fur coat on. But do you want to wait for the 16:9? Okay. I'll do the 16:9 now. Okay. Hold on. Royce is adding the correct aspect ratio so that we have the clip proper. While we wait, ALX, what you sipping on there? And what's on your shirt?
So this shirt is At Least We Got a Pizza Party for World War III, and it's the famous picture of Joe Biden eating his pizza. It's from Luke Radesky's shop, bestpoliticalshirts.com, actually. It's very, very funny shirt. Yeah, right.
AI
and I'm sipping on some nice rare hair, old-fashioned, that I actually had to get up in the middle of the speech and refresh my glass, so because the Joe Biden drinking game got too far.
Yes, that's right. Maybe that's why the earbuds keep falling out. And ALX is here all rosy-cheeked because he was playing the drinking game. It's amazing. You can still stand, ALX. If you were staying true to that drinking game, you should look like Joe Biden trying to ride a bike. Here we go. Marjorie Taylor Greene, response to the State of the Union. Go.
I just got back to my office after listening to the State of the Union with Joe Biden. And part of the time we couldn't really understand what he was saying as he was yelling at people, yelling through the applause and mumbling through his words. Some of the things that we did hear didn't make any sense. Joe Biden claimed to care about the border and talked about fentanyl deaths, which is the #1 cause of young people ages 18 to 45, but yet has no plan to secure the border. And frankly, we all know he doesn't care about the border because Joe wants the border wide open. That's the whole problem with Joe. We also heard him talk about McDonald's non-compete fees. Well, I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I don't hear anybody at home worrying about these terrible fights between different fast food companies. Joe Biden did talk a lot about communism, though, and controlling private companies, and I think that's something that should concern every single American and every single business owner. I will tell you one thing Joe Biden did lie about. He didn't know what he was talking about a lot of the time, but he did frankly lie. Talking about Republicans and Social Security and Medicare. We have not talked about cutting Social Security and Medicare. Joe Biden has been claiming that we're going to cut Social Security and Medicare, but we're not. So we called him out on the House floor. I called him a liar because that's what Joe Biden is. Either he doesn't know what he's talking about or he's just flat out lying. The one thing he did not talk about was the one thing he should have talked about. He should have apologized to America for the Chinese spy balloon that he allowed to traverse across our country, spy on our military bases, spy on our food factories, spy on our cities, spy on our entire country. They knew about it on January 28th, still allowed it to enter our airspace, spy on our country, and never did a damn thing about it until it left our country on February 4th. Joe Biden is weak. Joe Biden can't stand up to China. Joe Biden cannot protect our country. He can't protect our borders. And Joe Biden doesn't know anything he's talking about. That's the state of our union.
Boom, shakalaka, Danny. All right. Okay, Danny, what's up? Did that speak to you? Spy balloon and all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this sort of sets a tone for the rest of the Republican majority. I think it's not just this State of the Union response. I think this is what we should expect for the remainder of our majority. I think it's going to be a lot of holding Biden accountable, calling out his weaknesses. I mean, we are like 2 years into his presidency, and we are weaker as a nation. We are less safe. We are poorer. We're definitely worse off than we were 2 years ago. And so I think this is going to be sort of the course correction that our country needed.
Man, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're going in like hot on the 13 American service members whose lives were lost, saying that she called Joe Biden a liar out to his face. Again, she had her own Chinese spy balloon. Yo, ALX, I mean, you're seeing a bit of a superstar in the making here, obviously.
Oh yeah. I mean, from
she's
day
already a
one-
superstar, right? But
day
like,
one,
like,
she's been, yeah.
you're not gonna, you ain't gonna win against Marjorie.
Yeah. Like to her point too, she's like, oh, they didn't mention the Chinese spy balloon, and the entire last 48 hours has been his administration trying to clean up this mess that this lie spread that there was, oh, it's okay because there were spy balloons under Trump. And then they have to clean that up and say, well, actually, that's not true. John Kirby and NORAD actually said that was false. And everyone, including John Bolton and everyone else in Trump's administration that don't even like him anymore, are saying, nope, not on my watch, not on my watch. So they have egg in their face over that. So that's mainly why they're not bringing it up, is because they know it's all on them. And they're putting our country at risk, and they just looked like absolute fools this entire week over that.
Final takeaways from the evening. ALX, I'm going to go right back to you. You and I have been preparing for this along with Danny. We have an incredible team here. Thank you very much, obviously, for supporting us and supporting our team. We hire young conservative creators at this show. We want to make sure that they have careers in this profession. We don't want to sacrifice them on the altar of the communist corporate press. And so we are very happy to be job creators at this show for great young conservative talent who watches this stuff very, very closely and who make sure that it is put in front of you and displayed. And oftentimes they do not get the credit they deserve. So we're just so proud of our team here. Rolls-Royce, Danny, Ashley, Jerry, ALX. Everyone is just doing such an incredible job. So ALX, you watch this stuff as close as anyone. What's the final takeaway from tonight for you?
My final takeaway is it's expected. Biden didn't seem prepared. He stumbled over his words. And then, the refreshing response from Sarah Sanders, very calm. She didn't raise her voice or scream. She knew exactly what she was saying and meant it. And the key takeaway, I think, is Trump is probably looking very closely at her as a potential vice president pick.
Interesting. Danny, do you agree?
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I mean, Biden's speech was pretty much delusional. I mean, it's so far away from reality that I think Americans sitting at, as Biden likes to say, at their kitchen tables, and they see the reality of what they're facing every day. It's so different to the sort of successes he's touting right now. That I think the Sarah Sanders response is sort of a reality check, and I think that's I think Republicans are going to do pretty well in the majority as long as they keep holding Biden accountable.
Yeah, I mean, gentlemen, I think that the cake is baked, right? I don't think Joe Biden's convincing anyone. Who the hell are you going to convince with this speech? I actually don't think it's that. I've seen him do much worse speeches, right? Whatever serum they have him on. Okay, like he was not as bad as he has been in the past. I mean, you've seen him, you've literally seen him fall over. It's, he's on the wrong cocktail, and so whatever they had him on tonight is clearly the right dosage. He was less of a humiliation when it comes to just like basic speaking of the English language, but you're not going to convince anyone. Like, it doesn't matter that Joe Biden slurred less words or didn't say there's no walls tall enough to stop a vaccine from getting in to the Iranians that were fighting in Ukraine. It doesn't matter. I don't think that people are are ready to be convinced of anything. Eggs are $12 a dozen. Gasoline is skyrocketing. Inflation is skyrocketing. More mortgage interest rate hikes. And everybody, even if they're not saying, everyone feels like it's a recession right now. I mean, there's nobody feels confident in the way that the country's heading. So I think that this was unfortunately, not unfortunately, but if you're a Democrat, if you're Joe Biden, this is too little, too late, right?
Yeah.
You've screwed the pooch, and the cake is baked. And so I think the people that hate, people are not going to be convinced by this, is what I'd say. people are convinced and are longing for something refreshing, and that's why they are gravitating towards MTG is going insanely viral. Trump is going insanely viral right now. Sarah Sanders is going insanely viral. That was deeply well received. And so people are like longing for something that's not as craven or as like odiously filled with lies.
Agreed.
I guess we'll have more to say on it in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back. We've been going strong for 3 hours. We will be back in the morning, and I just want to state one final time with everyone on screen here. Royce, can you hop on? You able to hop on? There we go. Just a small part of our team here, ladies and gentlemen. When you watch, you support us. We pay, as Joe Biden would say, a living wage. Like, we pay, we make sure that we are taking care of young and fostering young conservative creators here, people that want to like save their country, and we are creating jobs. You're seeing a small portion of the incredible team that is on all the time, day and night, night and day, weekends, holidays, making sure that we are getting the truth out there to you. And so thank you. Please subscribe. Please click like. Please share the video. Please subscribe to the podcast and support our work because we are here. We literally do not sleep supporting you and supporting a better America and fighting for this great country, because this is the greatest country in the world and has the greatest, absolute greatest team, I think, on the internet right here before you, along with Ashley, Jerry, and the other members of Team Benny who make all this possible. So thank all of you. God bless you. Good night. And ladies and gentlemen, keep fighting. America is worth fighting for. That's our State of the Union. See ya.